Yo, what up, guys? We are live. Only 5 minutes late, so that's pretty good by PWF standards. But yeah, I think we're gonna have a good show for you tonight. The Andrew Tate Vice documentary came out about 24 hours ago, and I want to do a reaction to it. And I think I'm actually the perfect person to react to it because, unlike 99% of people on the internet, I'm not heavily biased when it comes to Andrew Tate. There's two types of people who are reacting to this. The first type are the Andrew Tate fanboys who just say all of it is just a scam, it's a fraud, the whole thing is a setup, he's set up by the Matrix, they just dismiss every piece of evidence. The second are like the SJWs or the Andrew Tate haters who are like, oh, clearly guilty, like fucking this guy, he's a terrorist, he's a rapist, he's a human trafficker, he's everything. We don't even need to see the evidence. I can just tell by the way he talks that he rapes girls left and right for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So those are the two sides you generally see reacting to Andrew Tate. I feel like I'm neither one of those. I feel like I've been pretty objective on this issue, and I'm trying to look at the facts. So I've only seen a small part of this documentary, so you're also going to get my genuine reaction to this. So yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll react to this. It's about 40 minutes. We'll go at like 1.5 times the speed. And then afterwards, we're going to do an open panel. So I'll just invite whoever wants to come on. We'll have a discussion. And I would say also, the last cool thing is we're going to have Natty on. She's going to jump on in like half an hour. And she's a lot more antagonistic towards Andrew Tate. So it's going to be, it's almost time to clean shit off my mouth. It's going to be a good, healthy debate. So yeah, it's also going to be good to get a girl's perspective. So yeah, I think this is going to be quite an interesting stream. So let's kick things off by just talking about Vice in general, Vice magazine. So a lot of you guys might know this, some of you don't, but Vice actually did a hit piece on me in 2018. So let me just quickly share my screen and show you guys that. And this is really just important to paint the picture of like what is Vice all about. Because I don't know for a fact everything about Tate, but I do know for a fact everything about me. And yeah, there's quite a few things that they were just way off about. So let me just quickly share the screen. We won't go through the whole thing. We'll just take a quick overview. All right here. Okay, so we just Google Alex Valencic Vice. All right, there we go. Oh, they're like fucking stupid pop-up. Okay, there we go. You guys can all see the screen. So yeah, so this came out about me in 2018. The Facebook group where men shared nude photos of their dates, right? I dated a guy who told me about a page where guys gave each other dating advice and exchanged intimate photos of their latest conquests. So we just have just a bunch of shit. After the day, I found the Facebook group that was up by 20-year-old Alex Valencic, who described on the event so as an epic pickup event in Poland, as an online game coach. I like how everything isn't just like these fucking parentheses. The premise is simple: to teach men how to achieve online dating success, i.e. how to sleep with as many women as possible using all the dating apps available. Okay, there we go. This is where it gets interesting. When I asked Valencic if he knew whether the members of his group who had been posting photos almost 2 years had gained consent to take and post these photos, he told me the group was big and active group. We started cracking down certain posts, and recently when we have time, nudes get auto-flagged by Facebook. He assured me that almost all women have had no issue with the sexually explicit photo that he himself posted women he has slept with. All the comments left under the post validate or deprecate women's bodies. Damn, this girl came to be fucked. Like, she got fucked, yeah. This is funny. After finding the page, I called my date Tom to talk about. He recognized the group has crossed the very obvious line. Yeah, this whole part doesn't exist. There's no Tom. But yeah, basically they made it out to seem like my whole Facebook group was the people playing with fire was about revenge porn, which it never was. We took privacy very seriously. We still do. So if someone, for example, doesn't censor a girl's name or is like showing like too much private info, we take that post down. But yeah, this was a group that had 10,000 people. So occasionally shit would slip through the cracks, but we had a team of moderators whose whole job it was to literally make sure there was no privacy issues being violated. But yeah, so they made the whole thing out to be seem like it was revenge porn about just guys bragging about fucking girls. There was a little bit of bragging, but largely it was about improving your skills, right? Getting better. It wasn't just a group for bragging. It was a group for sharing stories, sharing experiences, and learning from each other. And they completely missed that point. And that is actually why I got banned from Facebook. I got banned from Facebook literally 2 days after this article came out. So yeah, I can speak from firsthand experience that Vice is trash journalism, which is a shame because they actually used to be quite decent back in the day. And some of their foreign stuff is pretty good. But in general, Vice is, like I said, trash journalism. They don't actually care about getting the truth out. They care about basically twisting a narrative to fit their social justice warrior agenda. So I think it's important to keep that in mind when we start going through this video. Now, again, that doesn't mean that everything in the video is false. No, I think there's some really interesting points that are made in this video, right, that I think we have to take seriously. But just because you see something in a documentary doesn't mean it's true. You have to take a look at the source. And in this case, the source is dog shit, right? But again, doesn't mean everything's false. It just means the source is, generally speaking, unreliable. All right, so let's get into the documentary. So I'm going to share my screen. Well, yeah, I'm going to try to be as objective as possible. I'm not going to take like a cringe Tate fan approach, just say everything's fake. But at the same time, I'm going to look at all this information in a very skeptical light, because again, innocent until proven guilty. So, all right, so let's, you guys can see it. I got to just put in my headphones so there's no feedback. All right, hold up. Let me just change my settings so this works smoothly. Okay. And like I said, we're going to do an open panel afterwards. So if you guys don't really give a shit and just want to have a discussion, then make sure you guys stay on as well. All right, so I'm going to put in my headphones. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to play a little bit. Just let me know if the audio is good. And if it is, then we'll get right into it. So I'm going to play a little bit.
Do you ever wonder why some people who you've never heard of before all of a sudden appear everywhere?
Tate! Let me know how the audio
is an Anglo-American kickboxer turned influencer whose extreme misogynist videos have helped make him the most viral man in the world.
Bang out the machete, boom in her face, and grip her up by the neck. Shut up, bitch!
On December 29th, he and his brother were arrested by Romanian police.
Let me get a check from the chat how the audio is. So yeah, just let me know, guys, if you can hear the audio well. I want to make sure the audio quality is good before we really jump into it. Okay, a few people are saying that it's good. Okay, so then we can really crack into this. All right, so I'm going to do this at 1.5 the speed because I want to get through this fairly fast. I don't want it to take too long. So yeah, I'm going to do 1.5 the speed. If that's a little too fast for you guys, let me know in the chat and I'll drop it down to 1.25. But I think we can get through it at 1.5. So, okay, let's full screen this bitch and get right into it. Grab your popcorn because this is going to be juicy. All right, let's do it.
As part of a rape and human trafficking investigation.
The Matrix has attacked me.
You know what? That's too fast for me, honestly. I'm going to put it at like, fuck this. I'm going to do 1.25. It'll take a little longer, but my fucking head is not going to explode. Okay, I think that's going to be better.
A few months before their arrest, I was in Romania trying to get access to their so-called secret society, the War Room.
The War Room is the most powerful network on the face of the planet today.
To get inside, I had agreed to endure a professional cage fight in Romania.
I know he's going to lose, but wow, he's actually...
Along with 100 Tate superfans.
We shouldn't be slaves. We shouldn't be working 9-to-5 jobs.
I need to grow. I need to get better. I need to evolve.
I'm not tough on myself. Nobody else will be. That's what I learned from Andrew Tate.
The shiny hole. Hold on to it.
What I found out
My plan was to sow anarchy.
is that this recent arrest appears to be just the tip of the iceberg.
This is definitely a hit piece. I don't care.
The real story
We've nearly conquered the internet.
began years ago.
There's not a single female.
All right, so this is just the intro. It's almost over. Then we're going to get into like the bread and butter of this video.
Do you think there's not a single
female complaining?
Have you seen one? Tell me.
My ex-boyfriend was radicalized by Andrew Tate. He was sweet and I guess vulnerable to being brainwashed by Andrew Tate and his cult. People don't know what we've done.
If you haven't heard of Andrew Tate yet, it's only a matter of time before he pops up on your newsfeed.
Oh, that was fucking pretty. Romania's gorgeous.
His videos have been viewed over 11 billion times, and in July, he was more Googled than Kim Kardashian and Donald Trump. He's been called the king of toxic masculinity.
He said that rape victims should, quote, bear responsibility for being raped.
Okay, well, let's really quickly comment on that. This is one of the things I will absolutely defend Tate on. This got taken way out of context. What Andrew Tate said, and I did my research on this. I watched like the actual long form of the video, is he said, hey, rape is horrible. Rape is wrong, right? He said, but I don't think we're doing women any favors by saying that it's completely outside their control. I think there's practical things that women can do to minimize their chances of getting raped. Obviously, it doesn't make it right either way, but I don't think it's wise for women to walk around in like a skimpy outfit at 3 a.m. in a dangerous part of town because that increases her odds of getting raped. So he said that basically, if you want to minimize the odds of getting raped, then you do need to, take some responsibility for your actions. But even if you don't do that and you still get raped, it doesn't make it right. So there is absolutely nothing crazy about what he said. Again, robbery is wrong. I think that no one should ever have to worry about being robbed, but I'm not going to walk around with a $20,000 watch and a dangerous part of town. If I get robbed, it's still equally as wrong. But again, I need to take responsibility for everything I can control, and rape is no different. We're not doing women any favors by saying it's 100% outside their control. It is partially outside their control, but there's some things they can control. So what he said here was totally reasonable and a totally based take. I got taken way off context.
About to enter his compound in Romania, which was raided earlier this year as part of the rape and human trafficking investigation that led to his arrest in 2022.
Is that true that you sequestered an American girl?
She's not even pretty. This girl's average. She's ugly. I don't have time for this bullshit.
What about the rape accusation?
That's not true at all.
Hello, is this Andrew Tate's house? I'm Matt.
Okay.
Hey, hello.
Just a second to have a confirmation from Mr. Tate.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you just let me know when we're allowed.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Good to see you.
This place is giant.
Yeah, I can give you a quick tour. I can't show
Okay.
you a lot of it. A lot of it's like off limits. I can show you some of it. Gee, come bite them. Show them how scary you are.
Is this the normal level of security you have for your house every day, or is this just for us?
This
or?
is the normal level of
Oh, that was a beautiful house.
security I have in my house every day. I'm prepared for all eventualities. It's better to be paranoid.
He's got a cannon.
I can tell, yeah.
This door leads to. I can't take you in there. That's classified. Up on there, I can't take you in there either. It's classified. You do know if you go to any off-limit area.
All right, I think he's kind of bullshitting here a little bit. He's like, I can't take you there. I can't take you there. Like, I don't think there's actually anything there that's crazy. I know he has like a gun collection, but I don't think there's guns everywhere. But yeah, that's just Andrew Tate being Andrew Tate.
Areas like security you're going to intersect. So when I point classified, I'm basically saying don't make them put a gun in your face.
Got it.
TV, which I never watched. World title belts. I was 4-time kickboxing world champion.
And what's this painting over here?
That's my brother.
Who else lives here? Is it just you?
I live here with my brother. I think you're the best version of yourself if you live with other competitive men. I don't have loser friends. I like sitting down with people and discussing how we can make money from the conflict in Ukraine. That's what I enjoy. I don't want to talk about TV.
Interesting.
Okay, so he's got a point there. You don't want to surround yourself with losers. Like, you do want to surround yourself with people who are motivated. And I think I'm literally the same exact way. I also have always lived with other people. I live with like one, usually one close guy friend of mine, because it helps. We motivate each other. It's good. You get the camaraderie. So I think it's a good idea to live with other positive, motivated people. So yeah, I think that's a good mindset to have.
Fascinating. Okay, cool. Hi, by the way, sorry to interrupt. I'm Matt.
Georgia.
Georgia, good to meet you. What are you up to, Georgia? Working. Okay.
This is
The woman
This guy is so awkward.
I'm trying to speak to, Georgiana Noghel, would also later be arrested with Tate in December,
Georgiana, 2 coffees, please.
accused of assisting him in his human trafficking operation. Hey, how's it going? Hi. Hey, how are you? What are these guys up to?
Conquering the world, my friend.
Through what means?
I run Hustlers University, which is now currently the biggest online educational platform in the world. We've grown extremely fast. We have 110,000 students inside of a year.
Hustlers University.
For $49 a month, Andrew Tate's online Hustlers University promises to teach his millions of followers the secrets of modern wealth creation, from crypto trading to dropshipping.
No big deal, just the biggest online school in history.
Is this a sharp sword, or is it kind of a decorative sword?
I did a Tate speech about why I have this sword. A Tate speech is like my YouTube channel, Tate Speech.
Yeah.
And I talked about how the #1 problem with the world is that not enough men walk around their houses with swords.
Mm-hmm. That's up there for sure.
Because if more men walked around their houses with swords, so many of the world's issues could be fixed. But you have to extrapolate it.
Okay.
For example, the woman panics, she sees something on TV, the man comes home, she's like, oh, we go start wearing a mask. Da, da, da. If the man walked around with a sword, and she's like,
Well, a sword is not going to do you jack shit if someone has a gun, but I see the point he's trying to make.
like, put a mask on, he'd be like, I'm brave, I don't need a mask, I'm a commander. Fuck you. It's just a symbol of empowerment. You got your sword, your wife starts hawking, you're like, shut up, I decide what I do. Be quiet, cook.
Andrew's unashamed, misogynistic, and violent views so far seem to match.
All right, so like clearly this is a fucking joke. Like, again, there's some things that Andrew Tate has said where I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's a joke. Well, this is clearly a fucking joke. He's not gonna fucking cut his wife's head off with a sword, right? So if you like listen to, I think this is, you guys gonna see this when Natty comes on. Like, I've been kind of thinking about this. If someone videotaped the conversations me and Natty have offline, I guarantee you I would seem like a violent, rapey lunatic, right? We have a lot of inside jokes. Like, we joke around about a lot about like random shit. Like, we have this one inside joke where it's like whenever we have sex like really late at night, we call it like sleep rape. So like I'll be like, hey, how do you enjoy your sleep rape session, right? Obviously it's not sleep rape. It's just like a little inside joke we have. So we joke around about that shit. A lot of people joke around about this shit, just not a lot of people do it publicly. So again, could Andrew Tate have been smarter with his rhetoric? Yeah, 100%. I think he's realizing that now. But again, making a fucking joke, like clearly this was a joke. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's fair to say that this is violent or indicative of him being violent. Again, there are some elements of him that are violent. It's just not this.
His YouTube persona. But to find out how he's translated those into viral fame, I accept an invite onto the Tate Brothers podcast, Emergency Meeting, which is also a chance to get acquainted with his brother Tristan.
Welcome to Emergency Meeting, episode 13. We have a special guest, Matt Shea, who is internationally renowned and respected. He's a folk singer, and he's going to sing us a song.
Andrew's invited his mate on our show without my consent. I'm just going to have to bite my tongue and listen to you guys talk most of this emergency meeting. Otherwise, I'm going to walk off.
Matt, can you introduce yourself? Tell them about your singing career. Tell them where you're from, etc.
Yeah, so I'm actually not a folk singer at all.
So you kind of see that Andrew Tate is definitely like 50% troll. Like, I think that's like that part is pretty obvious.
What?
No, sorry.
What?
But the real tricky part is discerning his trolling from what he actually means, right? Because that can be tricky with some, like with this part right here, it's like really obvious he's trolling, right? But with some of the things he says, it's like, is he trolling or is he being serious? It's like, it's kind of open to interpretation, which is again what I think, like, you know, kind of got him in trouble.
Brother, a liar. You lied to me.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen the clown that hides from gay people? Have you seen?
No, I haven't seen.
Yeah.
This guy's like so fucking nervous right now.
I found the Isaac.
So you've never seen him?
No. Is he here somewhere?
Strange. Well, yeah, he's right here. I see him.
I see him.
All right, let's be nice to our vice friend. So let me be nice to him before he does a hit piece.
This is definitely a hit piece. I've warned my brother that this is a setup, and this is what
I don't care.
All right, so Tristan is 100% right here. Andrew made a dumb fucking mistake by being over cocky and thinking that he could control the narrative. And yeah, like Vice, obviously it's a hit piece. And I think Andrew knows it's a hit piece, but he's so cocky and so confident, he thinks that it's not going to affect him. And again, you know, he didn't get arrested because of this hit piece, right? But again, I think he got way too overconfident, over cocky, maybe because he rose to success really fast. But again, you see Tristan, he's being the voice of reason. He's like, hey, why are we talking to this dude? He's just going to take everything we say out of context and do a hit piece on us. And Andrew's like, well, I don't give a shit, man, right? So his brother, Tristan, was 100% right here. Like, yes, like you're 100% correct. That's why when Vice reached out to me, I did not do, they were like, hey, can we do a call with you, blah, blah. I was like, no. Like, I will answer questions over email, but you will not get a voice. You know, you're not going to get a video with me because I know you're just going to take it out of context. With emails, it's a little bit hard to take it out of context because I can plan everything in advance, right? So I had the foresight to know that, yeah, like Vice is going to do a hit piece on me. So just like kind of, again, this is a good example of like Andrew's confidence and cockiness, like basically fucking him in the ass.
I'm uninterested. I've clearly conquered the internet. I'm clearly unstoppable. I'm like the board.
You've invited the liberal news media to come.
They can all come. Just because I'm wearing a gun, I'm violent.
Yeah, so I think like Andrew just really didn't realize how bad it could be, right? So I think he just got overly confident. I think Tristan was like being the voice of reason here. Is like, yo, dude, we're fucking playing with fire here. Not the good kind of playing with fire like you see on the PWF channel, the bad kind of playing with fire.
Is that how it is? Just got that knives all over the table. I'm a kickboxing world champion. I'm violent.
If you are wearing a gun and you have knives, that does make you a little bit violent.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Makes me security aware.
I don't want to sing a song. Sing like you promised.
It's
You
a setup.
think I won't kick Vice out of my house. I think
A few more minutes, or are we done with it?
No, you can sing now or you're off the pod.
During an ad break, Andrew breaks character.
30-second break. Check shit. Another 5 minutes and we'll get you out of here. You can talk shit back. You're gonna annoy us anymore.
Don't worry, no, I know.
So I think this is actually like really good because like it shows you that he's actually like, I don't know why Vice put this in there because it like doesn't help their case, but this shows you that Andrew, again, according to this, is probably a fairly decent, nice person. Like I've had interactions with him. He's always been very nice with me. His brother's always been nice, right? I think he's a fairly nice person who puts on a character, right, when he goes on the internet because, you know, he knows that's what's going to sell. That's what's going to get attention, right? But it's kind of ironic because this character, which is what got him a lot of fame and money, is actually the thing that also hurt him, right? But yeah, he's not like actually being a fucking dick to this journalist. He's just fucking around for entertainment of his viewers, right? Which again, you know, you could say is like kind of disgenuine. But yeah, I just think it's a little interesting, like heart-to-heart moment that we just saw right there.
I'm not very good at talking shit.
We've had a long career. We have to do our normal broadcasting.
Okay.
Kick him off the pod. Cool, man. Have fun, guys. Yeah.
Bro, this is going to be the worst documentary about us.
What they gonna say?
I don't know.
He has lots of cars and money.
So Tristan is like so spot on with this. Tristan is like, dude, like you're fucking playing with fire. Andrew's just being cocky. He's like, man, like what the fuck is gonna happen? Well, a lot of things happen.
Women love him. He's sexist. Oh no, please don't put that on the internet. Who cares? Right? Whatever.
Within minutes of being on the show, the Tate content machine snaps into action. Oh yeah. Wow. Already.
You promised to sing to me. If you think I won't kick Vice out of my house, you can sing now or you're off.
Tate brothers embarrass Vice reporter.
Yeah, take that back. I want to make sure that my...
Yeah, so I think you can definitely make the argument this was like kind of disgenuine, that they're putting on this performance, that they're like Frank Castling or whatever, kicking out this dude, right? I think that if they told him ahead of time what was going to happen, it's fine. But if they're just doing it like for views and clicks, it's like not the most genuine thing to do. But again, I think it kind of comes with the territory. Like when you're like me personally, when I look at Tate, I understand that like 60% of the stuff he says is hyperbole, exaggeration, and he's putting on a show. He's a performer. That's really what he is. He's a performer.
18,000 likes, 246 comments, 66 reshares. Oh, I accidentally liked it. Let's see what people are saying. Tate win, as always. I'm impressed how easily he runs over weak men's arguments. It isn't Tate posting all these videos, so who are all these people? Tate Brothers Embarrassed Vice Reporter was posted by a fan account that has 58,000 followers and 3.9 million likes, and is just posting loads of videos every single day. Right in the description of his account, it says, looking to level up your life, start here. It's a sign-up link to the Hustlers University. Another account. And again, a link to the Hustlers University. He's got a clever formula here. It turns out a big part of Hustlers.
Yes, he does have a clever formula. It is an interesting business model that he developed. Because typically, the way it works with content creators, if someone takes a clip of our channel or something like that, they don't they just basically copy and paste what we're doing. We do a copyright strike because they're just basically plagiarizing that. Andrew Tate did the opposite of that. He wanted people to plagiarize his shit. He in fact encouraged it, right? Which was an interesting business strategy. Unfortunately, it resulted in him getting kicked off YouTube. But in theory, it was a pretty, unique idea.
Hustlers University is an affiliate marketing scheme where boys as young as 13 are instructed to share controversial videos of Andrew with links to the Hustlers University underneath. If someone signs up through your link, you get 48% of their subscription fee. By financially incentivizing 110,000 students to share his content online, Andrew has essentially built an army to make him rich and famous in a very short space of time. And he's tactically avoiding the impact of social media bans.
That is true. He has built an army of people that are contributing to his success. I mean, this is fairly standard, affiliate marketing. He's just giving a high percentage than most people do. But if you watch, there's been a lot of speculation whether Hustlers University was a pyramid scheme or not. I looked into this pretty thoroughly. I think the best explanation I've seen of this was by Spencer Cornelia. He did a video, and Spencer Cornelia is not like an Andrew Tate fan, but he did an honest review, and he pointed out why it's not a Ponzi scheme. It's just your standard affiliate marketing program, right? So, yeah, I think there's a lot of confusion, like what's the difference between a pyramid scheme and affiliate marketing? But yeah, this falls under affiliate marketing if we're just being genuine and honest. Again, I don't know. I've never explored the course. I don't know if there's any value in it. I've heard mixed things. I've heard some people say that it was really valuable. Some people said it was just really basic and a waste of time. But I personally haven't explored Hustlers University, so I'm not going to make a claim about how good of a course it is. I mean, $50 doesn't seem that expensive. It's pretty cheap. Even if it sucks, it's you only lost $50. But yeah, I do know that he's personally, when you sign for Hustlers University, you don't really get any one-on-one time with Andrew or anything like that. He's not there. It's run by his assistants or whatever. But again, that's fairly standard. And for $50 a month, what do you expect?
Because it isn't Andrew himself posting, it's his legion of fans.
All I'm doing is saying the shit that everyone thinks isn't allowed to say. So that's the reason I'm all big on the internet.
I'm starting to wonder whether he's...
That's not just the reason you're big on the internet. You're big on the internet because you're quite charismatic. You're very good at getting people riled up. You're quite polarizing. And you play a character that attracts a lot of people. So it's not just because you say what I say what I want, right? I say what I want at all times. But I'm not nearly as popular as Andrew Tate, nor will I ever be nearly as popular because I'm not as charismatic. I'm not nearly as polarizing. And I don't put on a show. When I do these streams, I just try to be as authentic and genuine to who I am because that's just who I am as a person, right? So me and Andrew Tate, in terms of that, are quite different as content creators.
Just a living meme.
You're a loser because your mentality is loserish.
Some kind of viral marketing campaign to swindle money from confused young men.
You never had the life I had, ever.
Or if he really believes what he says.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Andrew,
I will say this: his constant talk of the Matrix, I find is kind of cringe and overly simplistic. I understand what he's trying to do, but it's he just oversimplifies how the government and how world order works. It's not there's this one matrix. He makes it out to be there's this group of people who are sitting in a dark room who are controlling everything. In reality, the government, all of that, tech companies, it's a combination of various interest groups who work together, who fight against each other, who are constantly going against each other, and it's way more complex. So there's not this one matrix, right? There's maybe 1,000 different matrices, and sometimes they go together, sometimes they don't go together. But yeah, he just oversimplifies, how the world works. But again, most people are dumb, so you have to oversimplify for the average person.
First appeared on our screens as a reality TV star.
I've never been in a situation in my life so far in my
21 years where I really want something I didn't get it.
He had found an arena.
We're going to do Q&A afterwards. I do want to address this one question. This is just like insane straw manning. Alex thinks the government never did anything wrong. Of course I don't think that. The government has done many, many, many wrong things. So it's like a total straw man in my position. Like, if you're going to watch this, like, try to be open-minded and like actually listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Of course the government has done many, many wrong things, right? But yeah, that's like has nothing to do with the argument at hand. All right, let's keep going.
Where controversial personalities thrive.
I have to manipulate a lot of people to win.
But something happened when Andrew was on Big Brother, one of the biggest reality TV shows of all time.
This is Big Brother. Due to events in the outside world, Andrew has had to leave the Big Brother house.
He was reportedly removed from the program when a video surfaced of him slapping his ex-girlfriend and then beating her with a belt.
I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen? Did I say listen? No. Did I say it?
Public outrage simmered down after Andrew released a video of his ex, claiming it was all part of a so-called kinky game.
It was just pure game. It's just what we used to do.
But what the public...
So yeah, so this chick, his ex came out and made 2 videos saying the whole thing was just role play. And like, if you're not familiar with BDSM, you might be like, what the fuck? Again, is it theoretically possible that he put pressure on her to say that? It is. But I think more likely, if the chick is literally coming out and saying, yo, the whole thing was just foreplay, it was just, you know, BDSM, then I'm going to take her at her word, right? Like, why are we only trusting women sometimes and not trusting the other? Like, if we're doing this, like, believe all women, then I think it's pretty fair to say, okay, unless we have some counter evidence, right, that it probably was what she's saying. Is it theoretically possible, again, that she's lying? Yes, but I don't really see a reason why she would. So, yeah, I don't know. So I think that got blown out of proportion a little bit.
Didn't know, and what we can now reveal, is that around the time that Andrew was playing Truth or Dare in the Big Brother pool, the UK police had informed the production company that he was under investigation for 2 incidents involving other women, one of rape and a further of physical assault.
Yeah, so this is true, that did happen, but he was never prosecuted. The prosecutor dropped the case because of a lack of evidence. Because they felt like, yeah, there's no evidence. So yeah, I mean, like, anyone can get accused of anything. I think it's more important to look whether, like, you know, like the facts of the case, were you actually convicted? But again, if we're operating on this under this idea of innocent until proven guilty, and not only did he win the case, there literally was no case because the prosecutor, whose job it is to convict him, said, hey, there's not even enough evidence for us to start. You know, again, could it theoretically still have happened? Sure. But again, I think like when I see stuff like that, I'm like, okay, like, if like the fucking government like wasn't even willing to prosecute this because of lack of evidence, then like probably there's not too much there. But again, it's theoretically possible. But we're operating under percentages, and like we're using inference. We don't know some of these things for a fact, so we just have to use common sense and logic.
In May 2021, Tate made reference to his arrest in an appearance on the Fresh and Fit podcast.
I was like, who are you? And they're like, you're under arrest for a suspicion of assault of this dumb hoe. And I'm like, wait, this is dumb hoe? They didn't, but I'm going to protect her anonymity because I'm a nice guy. Dumb hoe.
During the same period, the Tate brothers were recruiting women for a webcam sex business and creating the first of their many online courses teaching other men how to do the same.
I am her everything. It doesn't matter if I fuck someone else because I'm her everything. She has nowhere else.
So let me kind of comment on the whole thing. So I think what's beyond a doubt is that Andrew Tate was utilizing the loverboy method to attract girls to the cam girl thing. And I will be honest, I think that's personally unethical. I think it's, again, let me just actually clarify what that is. So basically, he was getting these girls to fall in love with him, right? And then once he had that leverage because they were in love, he was convincing them, girls who were never involved in the porn industry, to basically do webcamming and porn. And again, that's not illegal. He should not go to jail for that. But I think that's personally unethical because it's basically manipulation. Like, you're tricking the girl. You're not really in love with her. You're just getting her to fall in love with you so you can get what you want. So yeah, I think that's quite manipulative. But that in and of itself is not illegal, you know? So just important to point that out. All right, let's keep going.
To go.
It was called the Tate PhD, or Pimping Hose degree.
She was a fucking hoe, and I spotted it instantly because she didn't humble herself when she was supposed to. And I'm glad I didn't waste any more time on her because she's never going to be doing like my other girls do, living in my house, letting me fuck other women, remaining loyal, and fucking bringing me coffees and doing as I say.
Andrew has closed down the Pimping Hose degree to focus on the Hustlers University.
Luke, your screen's compromised, yeah? So keep it super fucking vanilla.
But with a historic rape allegation in the UK, and the Romanian police now looking into him for rape and human trafficking, I want to find out more about his methods of recruiting women. Did you at one point say that the girls who started as your girlfriends and then work for the webcam industry, 100% of the profit goes to you?
Let me actually really quickly address a comment. Game is manipulation as well. No, not necessarily. Game can be manipulative, but it more often than not is not. If you're honest up front with the girls, then it's not manipulation, right? If you're just being charming, confident, making jokes and seducing them, there's no manipulation there. It's manipulative if you're saying, yeah, you know, I'm down to have a relationship when you just want sex. That is manipulative, right? Or when you're shaming the girl into fucking you, that is manipulative. But game doesn't need to be manipulative. The way I run game, I would say, is not manipulative in any way, right? So game doesn't need to be manipulative. But what he was doing, again, that doesn't mean he's a bad person necessarily. Doesn't mean, you know, anything. It just means that, like, if we take the Loverboy method in general, it is quite manipulative. I think you have a hard time, like, arguing against that.
You?
I think in a lot of households in the world today, the man is in charge of the investments. I think that's not an uncommon thing. Tell me a view I have that you think is genuinely insulting or destructive to society. I'd like to hear it.
You prefer younger women who are 18 or 19 because you can leave an imprint on them?
No, when I say leave an imprint, I mean that. I understand what you're.
All right, so there's nothing wrong with wanting a younger woman. I will say, though, when it comes to relationships, when a guy's older, like 15, 20 years older, and the girl's super young, those relationships never work out. So if you're an older guy and you want to fuck a bunch of chicks, yeah, you can go for 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. But if you're looking for a relationship, don't look for 19-year-old girls when you're like in your 30s or 40s.
You're trying to say that, like, if I get her, I can brainwash her. I'm not trying to say that. If you meet a girl who's 22 and you're her second boyfriend, she's probably like a nicer person, less jaded, less upset, less suspicious.
So you like to be in a position of power?
It's not being in a position of power. It's about, I enjoy to show her amazing things. You're trying to attach things to the situation which aren't true.
5 years ago, you said rape is a terrible thing, but if you put yourself in a position to be raped, then you should bear some responsibility for that.
Okay, so first, we agree that rape is a terrible thing. The point I'm trying to make is the best way to prevent yourself from being raped is to have a degree of personal responsibility and not put yourself in positions to be raped, as opposed to standing there saying that rape shouldn't happen or men raise our boys better. You know what else shouldn't happen? Robbery. I want the freedom to walk down the road with $1 million in cash.
Is it fair to compare the desire to...
Yeah, I think what he's saying here is totally fucking reasonable. And, like, you guys have seen that I'm not afraid to, like, call out what I dislike about Andrew Tate. But, like, this thing right here, if we're being fair, this is totally reasonable base thing to say. I think you're being more unreasonable where you're saying women have no control over this shit, because they do have a little bit of control, right? Where they go, what they wear, who they associate with. If I had a daughter and my daughter came to me for advice, and I would not say, hey, you have zero control over this. Men are just pieces of shit. I would say, hey, listen, don't go to a guy's house. And, you know, the first time you meet him, maybe do a little research, investigate him online. You know, be cautious. Don't go to bad parts of town. Always have a friend around. You know, like, don't wear something too revealing when you're in a bad part of town. Of course, I would give my daughter that advice. Every single father would. So, yeah, like, this is just like a weird, I don't know, weird shit that the Vice media is trying to argue, is that it's like you can't say stuff like that. No, that's a very reasonable base thing to say.
To walk around with £1 million in cash to someone wanting to just walk around their own city at night.
Well, female beauty is extremely valuable.
Of course, female beauty is extremely valuable in the eyes of men who seek to exploit it.
I don't give a shit about having sex with beautiful women. I fuck them so they listen to me, so I can get what I actually want, which is not them. It's a means to an end. Every single Bond girl was exploited. That's exactly what I do.
Have you?
All right, so this clip right there is very hard to defend. Again, is it possible he was being hyperbolic? Sure. It didn't seem like hyperbole to me. Like, it actually felt like he was being kind of serious. And yeah, like, he basically admits to the fact that he was using game or, you know, seducing girls as a means to get what he wants, which was money, right? Money from the webcam thing, right? Again, which I think is manipulative. I think it's unethical, but it's not illegal.
Heard the term loverboy before?
The loverboy method?
Yeah, romantically involving yourself with a woman and then making money off of her in some sort of sex-adjacent industry.
Firstly, I would call the webcam industry far closer to psychology than sex. The webcam industry has prevented more male suicide than any group of therapists, any action group, any charity ever would.
Like, hard disagree with him on that. Like, this is where I, like, just completely disagree with Andrew. He's saying that webcam girls are actually good for men's mental health. No, they're not. This shit is not, like, don't pretend like you're doing something good for society. You're not. You're contributing to dudes fucking sitting around, jerking off, and not going out and actually meeting girls in real life, right? Again, that doesn't make you a bad person, but don't fucking LARP around and pretend like you're doing something good. You're not helping men's mental health. you know, he was helping men's mental health when he's talking about going to the gym, you know, like becoming emotionally resilient. That is helping men's mental health. But you're not helping men's mental health when you're basically getting them to jerk off on the internet all day to webcam girls and like spend their money on them. Like that's not good for men, clearly.
Right?
Is that true? How can you measure that?
Well, it's not about measuring. It's about my personal experience.
One of the concerns that people have about that
Okay, no, first,
method is that
let me correct you because I'm a professional.
Is that it's similar to, or people might consider that a form of grooming.
Okay, so I'm a professional, so I have to change what you just said. I have to at least challenge you on it. Nobody's concerned about anything that happened 10 years ago when a bunch of girls got rich. There's not a single female complaining.
Do you think there's not a single female complaining?
Have you seen one? Tell me.
Andrew says no woman has complained about him personally. He won't let us speak to the women who work for him, so for now it's difficult to verify this claim. But I have spoken to many women who complain about the effect Andrew's rhetoric is having on their lives. To protect them from harassment, I've agreed not to name them.
My ex-boyfriend was radicalized by Andrew Tate to the point of starting to...
Oh, Jesus Christ. Radicalized by Andrew Tate? Like, what is he, like a fucking, like, terrorist or something like that? You can't get radicalized by Andrew Tate. Like, he got radicalized and he started going to the gym and he started, like, fucking, like, buying fucking luxury cars. Like, what the fuck are these people talking about? Radicalized by Andrew Tate.
To release revenge porn unless I took back what I said on social media against his sexist, misogynist.
But that's not because of Andrew Tate. This is because your ex-boyfriend was a piece of shit.
It's like a virus, the things that he's spreading. The scariest thing is, I have no idea if the next guy I meet could be an Andrew Tate fan. As a teacher, it's
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, if you look at the big picture things that Andrew Tate is saying, they're generally positive things. They're like for men to become more responsible, get their shit together, go to the gym, work out, put themselves through some challenges, like, become responsible for their community and the people around them. Like, there's of course some things that Andrew Tate says that are like way off and I disagree with, but they're generally like the bigger things he says are generally good things. So it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm worried he's going to be an Andrew Tate fan. Yeah, heaven forbid he's like going to the gym and like fucking not poor. Like, what the fuck?
You worrisome. There are boys who look up to him, especially those that may be vulnerable and they're sort of going to go into the real world carrying those violent views with them.
I'm 14. The boys at school my age think that it's okay to say horrible things like women are men property and they get to do what they want with them. It makes me really disappointed in my generation.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, that's like just a clear example of Andrew Tate rhetoric, like fucking having a fairly bad effect. Now, Andrew Tate has clarified his position on this. He doesn't actually think women are his property. He believes that he has a responsibility to take care of the woman in his life, which is kind of like an old school mindset, but it's not the same thing as thinking they're their property. He's not like that fucking Pastor Eden guy we had on last night. But yeah, he uses hyperbole and he plays a character. And then some of the people who watch him, which are like 13, 14-year-old kids, are not smart enough to basically see through that. And they take it at face value, right? So yeah, I think he should have been more responsible with this rhetoric for sure. I think he probably realizes that.
Andrew's views represent a new era in modern misogyny,
Start talking to some bitches and say, me and my man are fucking.
where you can now not only talk openly about subjugating and objectifying women, but doing so actually garners millions of committed fans.
They don't believe the level that you can operate at when you're actually a G.
The most hardcore of them have traveled here to Romania to join the War Room.
The War Room is a fraternity. We're a brotherhood which is designed to inspire the best from our brothers. They have to have the mentality and the pedigree to survive. There's tests, and if you do them, you can stay inside.
At the top of Andrew's fraternity is a small group of wealthy and powerful men who all stand to gain significantly from the expansion of his empire. This inner circle is not happy that I'm here.
Let me quickly comment on this. I've personally never been inside the War Room. I have talked to several people who've been inside the War Room, and I've heard mixed things. Some people say it's like the greatest thing ever, and some people say it's like generally like a fucking waste of time. The one person, I won't say his name, but he's another content creator whose opinion I trust. He described it to me like this, and I think his assessment is probably the most accurate. He says that the best part of the War Room is networking. You get to network with other really successful people, and people in there are generally like motivated to help each other. So he says that he feels like it was worth it for the networking benefits, but he says also there's a lot of upsells on there. So for example, like if you want to like actually go to like an Andrew Tate meetup, you have to pay extra for that. So like there's almost like always an upsell for everything. And he says that like, yeah, aside from the networking, it didn't really benefit him. But again, he feels that it was worth the money just because of the networking. But that's what he says is the biggest benefit, which kind of makes sense to me.
Through our testy exchange this morning, Andrew invites me to watch him train.
Have you ever golfed before?
No. But it turns out he's planning on teaching me a lesson.
Who's got spare golf?
There you go. I appear to have unintentionally walked into a situation where Andrew Tate is going to train me how to box.
Punch me. Punch me. Oh, look like you're bleeding already. There's only one round. Keep going, bro. Got 10 more rounds.
No fucking way.
No.
I meet and get punched in the face by the inner circle of the war room. In the world Andrew has created.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Andrew Tate took it very easy on him. Like, dude, he went like 0.01% of his like fucking full force. Dude, if you don't want to do it, then just fucking say no. Like, what? Like, dude, I don't know. I think the implication here is that, like, in order to get the story, he had to like get the shit beat out of him. Dude, you fucking agreed to it. Like, boxing, like, is fully consensual. If you weren't comfortable doing it, then you should have just said, hey, I don't feel like boxing. I would have done that. I don't want to fucking get punched in the face with all my injuries. So if I was hanging out with Andrew Tate and he was like, hey, Alex, you put on your gloves, I'd be like, hey, bro, I got to pass, man. I'm not interested. Simple as that. You wouldn't have to, like, I seriously doubt anyone forced him to do this. But like, the implication is that, like, oh, I had to do this.
Not only are women to be subjugated, sorry, that almost felt like I got knocked out, but men defined by their capacity to inflict violence.
Okay. Tap out. You stopped. You were like, all right, pause, time out. Like, if that were having a street fight, would someone stop? No, so that's your reaction. I need to fight back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, you.
The war room is a
Dude, it seems like everyone was like fairly professional, like friendly. Like, no one was actually trying to hurt him. So I don't know what the fuck was the point of showing that.
network. We have 10 meetings a year. The next one's going to be in the mountains of Transylvania.
I don't think there's, I mean, again, personally, I'm not big on fighting, but I don't think there's anything wrong for a bunch of men to like practice sparring with each other. Like, that's like a good sports camaraderie. It's exercise. Like, what the fuck is wrong with any of that? Like, that's, there's nothing wrong with like them, like fucking, like they're implying that there's something like violent about that. I disagree with that. Again, it's just fucking men practicing. Like, it's a sport, it's activity. Like, what the fuck?
You could do it, but I don't know, my friend, if you're prepared.
All right, let me quickly read a super chat. Someone sent me one. I feel bad ignoring those. Okay, let me find it. Hold up a second. Okay, there it is. Alex, what do you have to say about the fact that sugar babies OnlyFans girls use loverboy method to exploit thirsty sims for cash? No, it's not okay. I think that's fucked up too. Dude, those two things are not like mutually exclusive. The sugar baby and OnlyFans girls can be very messed up, and what he's doing can be messed up. So no, I don't think it's okay. I think exploiting anyone for money is wrong. So yeah, I don't know if like this guy thought it was like a counterpunch, but I certainly would not be the person that would be like advocating for like sugar babies or something like that. I agree that's like a common like fucking hypocrisy that like the libtards have, but I'm certainly not one of those people.
We've left Bucharest and we're driving into the Carpathian Mountains to meet Andrew and his inner circle for the war room, which is going to involve something called the test. I've made it into Andrew Tate's war room, where 100 of his biggest fans have flown in from all across the world, each paying $5,000 to have their manhood tested by the one they refer to as Commander. None of us know what he has in store.
I welcome you all to the test.
Yeah, I do agree it's a little cultish. I will say that.
There is a cage fighting event, and every single one of you has been paired against a professional fighter. You will fight in the cage on national television, and it's a real fight. There are two paths you can go down. You can agree to fight, or you can decide that it's not for you. You have 1 hour to think and make a decision.
That's going to be a hard no from me. Maybe I'll do a yes, just to learn a little bit more of what happens, and then definitely pull out at some point.
Does anyone have any questions to ask me?
Oh, Jesus Christ, what a bitch. She's like, I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to pull out. Like, either do it or don't fucking do it, man. Like, it's okay to say no. I would say no. I don't want to fucking fight a professional fighter, but I'm not going to, like, pretend like I'm going to do it and then pull out after, like, the first punch. That's fucking lame.
There's no training before this fight. If you've been walking through life too lazy to fucking train, is that your problem or my problem?
I couldn't help overhearing some disagreement within the war room.
How are you doing? What's expensive? It's gonna be fine, bro. We have an ambulance. We have medics. There's no fucking nothing.
I think it's a pretty good example how Andrew Tate doesn't really like think that far ahead. He's just like so reckless in some ways. Again, that's not an attack on him. It's part of the reason he became successful. That's like the other guy's like, dude, this is a fucking bad idea. We're gonna catch like fucking. We're gonna catch like 20 lawsuits. Andrew's like, fuck it, bro. Andrew kind of reminds me. He kind of reminds me of myself when I was like 16 years old. And I was just like, YOLO, fuck it. Who gives a shit? I will share with you my secrets.
He's the self-proclaimed greatest hypnotist in the world.
You will learn the power of hypnosis.
And seemed to have an agenda that expanded beyond the war room itself.
Alex, do you think the loverboy method and what strippers like Cardi B do are just as bad as manipulative? I'm not too familiar with what Cardi B does, but I do think in general what strippers do is manipulative. I would say I have less of an issue with strippers because when you go to a strip club, you kind of know what you're getting. But more with sugar babies, the women who pretend like they're into a rich guy just to get all his money. So those sugar babies are equally as messed up as loverboy. Yeah. There's no difference. A strip club is a little different because you kind of know what you're getting when you go to a strip club.
Self into something larger and darker.
Your sons will marry their daughters. Your daughters will marry their sons. You will create legacies. Enjoying those juicy steaks, that finer scotch, those smoother cigars.
He refused to speak to us, but it's clear that he has a big role to play in whatever the war room's real agenda is.
Is this like Andrew Tate's dad? Like, who the fuck is this dude? He looks like a wizard or something.
War room of Andrew Tate.
Well,
this guy looks like some Romanian wizard.
Now is decision time. You are getting in the cage to fight a professional fighter who is trained to hurt you. Anyone who is fighting, please stand up. Anyone who is not fighting, you can stay seated, and we will begin the other program.
Just like that, a third of the room decides to get beaten up for Andrew Tate.
What happens to people who said no? They're doing something slightly different, describing the reasons they didn't do it, how that affects their life as a whole, whether they're gonna make any changes in the future to be more ready for opportunities. That's where honor comes from, right? From victory.
One of the men who said no.
I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, you know, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a weird way to motivate people, I guess, but, you know, it's unique. I'll give him that.
Agrees to speak to us as long as we hide his face. Why did you say no?
I have been in the ring before, but just sparring. But I was like, fuck, professionals and Russians, like they guys are serious. I was just too scared. So then afterwards, I felt bad about myself and I was angry at myself because it came here.
I will 100% say that if I was in that war room and it's like, hey, you have to fight a professional fighter. Do you want to do it? I'll be like, hell no. I don't want to get the shit beat out of me. Like, what the fuck?
Test it.
Andrew Tate has obviously said a lot of kind of controversial things online. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, hey, major props to people who are willing to do it. Hey, that takes a lot of balls.
A lot of things are very controversial. But I think the bottom of his message is a very, very positive one. Because I'm not tough on myself. Nobody else will be. Nobody really cares about me if I don't care about me, right? That's what I learned from Andrew Tate.
People who decided to...
I agree with that. I think the underlying message, generally speaking, is good if you ignore the hyperbole. Yeah. I think the underlying message is basically self-improvement and taking responsibility, which is something I'm a huge fan of.
This morning, and people who decided at later date here.
We have a chaperone following us. We've been told that we're not allowed to talk to anyone. What about in passing, asking people like, what single question?
Let me run this by Tate before we film. No,
okay, all right. Would you go for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our chaperone vets who we speak to and tries to heavily control our questions. What do you do?
Show that you're not some sort of right-wing extremist.
Okay, so this is like a little weird. I understand. I think Tate is concerned about things being taken out of context, but like you kind of signed up for that when you invited a vice journalist. It's like, I don't know, either like I personally, if I was in like Andrew Tate's shoes, I would have said no to the Vice documentary. But if you are going to say yes to that, just like let them fucking talk to people, I guess. But anyway, this is like a small point. It's fairly irrelevant.
Why did you join the war?
I don't want to be fucking stagnant. I need to grow. It's just a fundamental shift in my mindset. What I think could be bad is always good.
Why are they doing shirtless photos?
Before the war room, I used to think, why is this happening to me? Now, what is this trying to like teach me?
About Andrew Tate specifically and the things he says online, the things that get him negative publicity. Yeah. What do you think about those things?
I think speaking the truth.
Really?
Yeah.
Interviewing under the chaperone's supervision is proving restrictive. Yeah?
No alpha craziness. He's an animal, this one.
So we can't speak to anyone? Okay. Who is this mysterious chaperone anyway? Hey, man.
Matt, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, man.
I was wondering if we could have a little chat. Yeah?
Suits me, man. I'm brought over from Dubai.
Like
who are all these characters?
Most war room leaders, he has a sports car. Do you want to do the interview in here?
Yeah, I don't see one.
This looks like a skinnier version of Richard Cooper.
Oh, man.
And like most people with a sports car, he's keen to show it off. So, what do they call you?
In these circles, sartorial or the sartorial shooter. I'm one of the guys who manages organizational risk and security for the war room. So anyone with any criminal activity, maybe they are showing signs of being racist or sexist or any of these sorts of things, they're out straight away. We will not tolerate that.
And so how do you reconcile that with some of the things that Andrew, for example, says online?
Any claim.
Hey, that's a good thing. Like, yeah, you should be doing that. Yeah, that's a good thing that they're doing.
Claims of misogyny or the fact that he's, spreading hateful words. That's not the reality of who he is, and that's not what the War Room stands for, and that's not what he stands for. There are many clips of him out there saying, I'm not a misogynist, I provide for my women, I would stand up for them.
So again, I think what this guy's saying in a very long-winded way is that, hey, Andrew Tate is putting on a character and he's trolling, but that's not really what he truly believes. He's doing it just to get views, right? Which is something that I've known from the start. I think that's something that most fairly intelligent people have picked up on pretty fast, but something that I think a lot of people for some reason miss.
My women in a violent situation.
What do you think his detractors would say about, for example, what you just said, the phrase "my women"? Do you think that they would consider that to be misogynist?
The phrase "my woman."
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Who gives a shit?
Woman, for me, ties into the very traditional values that we have.
Andrew's well known for talking a lot about his multiple girlfriends. How does that tie into this idea of a traditional relationship?
Men at certain levels can provide for multiple women. I mean, even we can go back 100 years ago, kings, you know, wealth.
Speaking of my property.
Of your property, that's so shitty.
I'm deciding to become an Andrew Tate fan. So from now on, I'm gonna
Well,
need you.
I don't know. You give me the impression you're already an Andrew Tate fan.
Babe, I want you to go ahead and quit your little shitty job and become a webcam girl for me. Yeah, and then you're gonna be. No, I mean, have you been watching? We're like halfway through.
I've been watching. I do want to comment the whole rape thing.
Well, we haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get through. Let's just take it as we get through it, and then we'll. If you ever want me to stop, just let me know. I'm just stopping every.
BRB. I want people to meet someone.
Okay, you're good. No, don't detract the stream, babe. Let's do that after.
Men, they would support multiple families. How is that a bad thing? It was only very recently that men and women have been competing in pretty much in masculine realms, in work, in career. Not that long ago, and indeed in many cultures around the world, women still have the traditional gender norms. And we believe in the war room, that's what leads to happiness.
Rather than.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong about that. Like me personally, I prefer to date women who have jobs or have like passions and shit, right? Like I don't really like to date a woman who just like warps around the house all day. But hey, I think it's totally fine if you just want like a stay-at-home wife. You know, I think that's totally reasonable, and you know, everyone has different things that they're looking for.
Than a career or like you have, you know, your own agency in the world to pursue your own goals.
The women who I know who are most fulfilled in life are not trying to do the things that traditionally men used to do.
What about a situation where, this is just popped into my head, where...
All right, so this is an interesting talking point. I like looked into this, I remember like a month ago. There was a study that was talking about like, it's just one study, but I think it was a fairly well done study. It's talking about happiness. And the study found that, so it compared stay-at-home moms, and then career women, and then career women who are mothers. And they found that career women who are mothers are actually the happiest, and that the career women are slightly happier than the stay-at-home moms. But they found that like the biggest happiness comes from having kids and also having a career. Again, this is we're just, you know, I know this is like a common red pill talking point that like women are happier when they stay at home. But if you actually look at like this, you know, like the study that was done, you know, that doesn't seem to be the case. Again, there's nothing wrong with women staying at home if they want to do that. But I think it's a little disingenuous to say that's what's going to make women happier. Like the data doesn't really support that, if we're just being honest.
I want my girlfriend, who I love, to be a kept woman, but she doesn't. She wants to pursue a career or something like that.
Then find a different woman. Very simple.
The core belief driving the war room and what men here are seeking is...
Yeah, I think that's totally fine. If you want a stay-at-home wife, like there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, for the girl that you're looking, you know, you're thinking about dating, doesn't want that, and that's important for you, then yeah, date a different woman. Like I think that's a pretty like normal thing to say.
Misogynist fantasy of a time when they were kings and women were subjugated. It's at the heart of what Andrew Tate is selling. Just look at the tweets of Iggy Semmelweis, his second in command.
Dude, who the fuck is this wizard, dude? Can someone let me know? They like know who this guy is. He just looks like a fucking shaman or something.
My webcam girl is home 100% of the time, has no time nor interest in going out. She sleeps, cooks, cleans, does her shows, gives me all the money, gets railed by me and our girlfriends, then smiles, thanks me, and goes and does it again tomorrow. Welcome to the war room.
This is the war room of Andrew.
So the only part of that statement I'm not a fan of is that gives me all the money. Like I think that's like, I don't know, like I have like if Natty was my employee, like I don't think it would be fair for me to take all the money from her. Like I think that, you know, an employee is entitled to like, you know, make a decent wage. So I don't know if that was just hyperbole, but yeah, like that's the only part of that statement I have an issue with, like taking money from like I don't think it's fair. Like I think people should get paid, you know, for the work they do.
Now, it's quite possible this next story has passed some of you by, but you would be in a minority.
As the war room members and I are bussed to the fight location, the world begins to talk about Andrew Tate with a new intensity.
He is a 35-year-old influencer who's been accused of spreading rape
Openly
culture.
condones and celebrates violence against women.
Hitting women. Kids are acting like the things that he's saying is like revolutionary.
11-year-old boys, they love him.
Well, that is true. A lot of people act like the stuff he's saying is revolutionary. It's not. Every single thing that he says has been like a popular thought in the manosphere for decades. He hasn't actually come up with any new ideas or any revolutionary ideas. It's all common manosphere talking points. He was just able to reach a whole bunch of people who don't really know about the manosphere. So to them, it's like revolutionary, right? But to anyone who's been in this community for a while, there's nothing he said that's like, whoa, I never thought about it that way. Like, this is very common talking points in the manosphere.
Looking up to Andrew Tate. He is a bad guy.
With the PR crisis going on, Andrew's team are eager for some good press. So they send an extra friendly chaperone to sell me on the benefits of
You're not gonna get the good press from Vice Magazine. That was just, dude. You could fucking give this guy $1 million, let him have a threesome with all your wives. You're still not gonna get good press from Vice Magazine. Literally, their producer wouldn't let them like fucking put out like anything positive about Andrew Tate. Like, no fucking way. Like, if you want good press, you're looking in all the wrong places.
the war room experience.
I'm Alpha Wolf.
Okay.
My role is to be Alpha Wolf.
Okay, fair enough.
Life is all about how you deal with the pain and how you move
This dude looks like an older version of this dude. It literally looks like his fucking father or something.
forward. You're going to learn a lot about yourself as a man. So take it, make the best out of it, and grow as a man and be tough.
All of the men in this room seem to be taking this incredibly seriously.
What's your goal for the fight? Of course, I'm gonna try to win.
I see a lot of contenders right there who had the guts to come right here in the cage. If any one of them win one fight,
all right, it's not a complete sausage fest. There's one chick there, so that's good.
Is going to win all their money, all their girls.
This is the culmination of Andrew Tate's pressure cooker of male insecurity.
You're a fucking broke. You are poor. I'm the only guy on this fucking platform flying around in private jets with 27 cars living this lifestyle. Most of you are not too stupid to become rich.
Are you ready?
This is like the one thing that, like, another thing I like kind of critical. I feel like he focuses way too much on materialistic things. Like, I don't think that, like, just having like 10 cars makes you happier. I think with money, there's definitely a point. So if you go from being poor to being middle class, you definitely become happy. If you go from being middle class to being like fully financially sufficient, you can get an increase in happiness. But if you go from making $500,000 a year to making $2 million a year, there's not really like going to be an increase in happiness. So I do think he kind of oversells materialistic things to some extent.
But while they come forward to gratefully take the beatings they've paid thousands of dollars for,
Your hands lose a little bit of blood.
Andrew Tate's future on social media is hanging in the balance. And the public backlash is spreading.
I have a question. This
I'm desperate to ask him
before
about.
he was blocked, banned from all the social media.
Sorry, what?
Before or
this-
after he was banned?
No, this was shot before, but this came out after. This came out like
Okay,
literally
this
24.
came out
But
recently, but it was shot before.
yeah, it was shot. It was shot before the social media ban.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's keep going.
All of this. But first, I have to get through this ridiculous situation that I found myself in.
But I think the biggest issue I have so far is with those fucking short shorts. What the actual fuck?
All right, let's go.
Beautiful man. Did I say it right?
Very excited for it. As soon as the bell goes, Matt has passed the test. I know he's going to lose, but wow, he's actually in there. Let's go, buddy!
Whatever's going on behind the scenes, watching me get chased around puts a smile on Andrew's face.
Andrew Tate looks like he's a kid who just met Santa Claus. Look how happy he looks. I've never seen him that happy.
Tyson gets stripped to the ground, and there's going to be a ground and pound finish. That is it. The referee calls it. Come on, man. He's unable to defend himself. I'm taking these guys to make up. I almost punched Matt myself when he was in my house. You know what? He officially won the other. I can't believe he actually got in there.
Hey, respect to this guy for doing it.
Those who went all in on their fight came out badly. One man was knocked out and taken away on a stretcher. The inner circle had put these men through collective hardship and recreated them in Andrew Tate's image. Fighters.
Yeah, like I like the idea of putting yourself through hardship, but I would like, if I was like organizing this, I probably would do like a really, like if that was my goal, I would do like a really crazy hike or like climbing a mountain or maybe like jujitsu or something like that. Like I feel like you can put yourself through hardship without risking like actually getting
That's a
hurt.
little cringe, to be honest.
What is?
Like having like fighting and he put in that show. It's kind of like, oh,
I don't think it's cringe. I just think it's on. I think it's unnecessary. That's my
I
only
think it's
thing.
cringe and just like, oh.
Alrighty.
Come here, guys. Come up to the front. He broke his hand on your head. You're fine. So you win.
But they had also joined a movement that was widely accused of normalizing sexism and rape culture. While the men who chose to fight are paraded in front of the crowd, Andrew's team shamed those who refused.
The shame hold on to it. Don't let it go. So anyone who fought, you can put your hand up, how the experience was, how it's going to change your life, and if you have anything to say to the people who didn't fight.
I don't think I have any word of advice for the people that didn't do it, except that you should have probably.
You want to check on me. I will train because I feel like I'm good, right? So
yeah,
that's what I want to do.
Right now, I have new mountains to climb, and I'd love to get back here a year from now and go to the gym of the guy who beat the shit out of me.
Didn't it feel like a movie the last few days? I feel like that's
It seems like these guys at least have a good mindset. So
a great metaphor for life. We shouldn't be slaves. We shouldn't be working 9-to-5 jobs. We should actually make our lives into, I guess, a movie.
I want to be known as one of the best fathers in the war room. I can't look at my sons and tell them to suck it up, Buttercup, if I don't say yes to this.
Yeah, makes sense.
Whether or not they fought, all the men here paid $5,000 to the only real winner in this performance, Andrew Tate.
Well, that part is true.
For the people who want to stay and relax, there's some chicks. Don't know where they're from. Yeah, let's have fun. I hope you all enjoyed it.
We're told not to film the celebrations that conclude the evening, and it's not clear exactly what goes on. But once outside the lobby,
is that chick naked or something? Are they fucking?
Yeah, she seems naked.
Ooh, I like this.
You could clearly see a room containing naked women being photographed.
All right, I'm thinking about joining the war room now myself. This is a way better. This is a way better way to get me in the war room than just a bunch of dudes like fucking fighting.
It comes off as were the girls there because they wanted to be there?
Well, babe, you're making massive leaps. We have no idea. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong.
I'm questioning, what was the role of those girls? What were they doing there? What did they have to do there?
Try to pretend for the rest of this video that Andrew Tate is me, and you and I are no longer together.
I'm questioning. I'm asking that question.
I know, but try to be charitable to the person.
No, I'm not being any nefarious intent or anything like that. I'm legit asking the question as to how did the girls get there?
We have no fucking idea.
Exactly, that's what I'm asking.
Right, but the question implies that
out there. I'm not implying anything.
Okay. Oh, fair enough. All right, let's keep going. We're 2/3 of the way done.
With Andrew's team increasingly conscious of negative publicity, tonight could be the last chance to interview him. Do you consider the possibility that some of the things that you've said, which have been viewed 11 billion times, may lead to an attitude towards women that could be harmful?
I accept that across all of that viewership, I have possibly maybe said one thing or maybe two that has upset a large range of people.
Wouldn't it make sense to just apologize for some of the things you said?
Andrew Tate exaggeration. One or two things, bro. There's been more than one or two things that have upset people. Hey, there's nothing wrong with upsetting people. I upset people all the time, but one or two things, that's a fucking stretch.
Acknowledge that they have caused harm and say that you won't say those things again.
No, and I'll tell you why. I'm not going to apologize for the
respect. No apologies ever. Fuck apologies.
Edits of other people. I'm not going to apologize for the misunderstandings of other people. There's a whole bunch of clips people are making which make me look very bad. That's not good for my life.
I agree with him there. Don't apologize.
I agree with him there.
Don't apologize for things that you didn't even do. This is what I fucking hate about most people nowadays. As soon as they get a little public pressure and pushback, they start apologizing for shit that they didn't even do. You won't see me doing that.
I agree with him there.
That's not good for business.
The clips that portray you in a negative light also help the algorithm to make you become more famous and more viral.
I'm not an expert on algorithms for social media platforms. I do not have most of them installed on my phone. I cannot control what a 15-year-old Singaporean decides to do when he chops me up and calls me names. I can't control that, and I wouldn't try to.
There has been a lot of bad press about you. That's made some nervousness within members of the war, and why is that?
Well, obviously, when people are going to continue to lie and continue to do very, very shallow, very, very fictitious investigations, people are going to lose faith in you. The media has lost all credibility because you do not try and portray the truth anymore.
One thing that stands in the way of truth.
I will agree with that. Not all media, but most media is told dog shit nowadays. It's the days of the 60s and 70s where the journalist's job was to get to the truth or God. It's all about fucking spinning a narrative and pushing a narrative, whether it's on the left or the right. It's so predictable. When I watch like the media, I'm just like, this is so fucking predictable. How does everyone else not know what they're trying to do? So the days of objective journalism are gone. The good news is that there's non-mainstream media people like Kyle Kalinske, for example, right? Like people like that, like who are kind of like non-traditional media, but who are actually care about telling the truth. But the mainstream media doesn't give a fuck about the truth. So he's right about that.
For example, is when we often do documentaries, we have full access to speak to anyone we want. But in this documentary, we've been very closely watched by the sartorial shooter at Alpha.
Oh, wow. We got 300 live viewers. I guess Tate is always a good attention to our people. Can you guys all do me a favor and smash the like button for this? If we get 300 likes, then I will officially make Natty my property.
No.
Wolf, picking who we can speak to, monitoring the interview. Yeah. What is it that you're worried that we're going to find out?
This question is this is low. It's low. We let you in. We tried to take care of you. And you're sitting here and just attacking us for 3 hours, bro.
The world is...
Bro, Andrew, like, you're a fucking smart dude. You're surprised that the Vice is trying to spin a narrative? Like, this is like common fucking sense. Like,
I think that's for the show, though. I think that's for the show. I think that's part of the show. He knew that...
No, I think I made the argument earlier. He was just over cocky and overconfident. And
I think it's part of the show. He knew what he was getting himself into.
No, his brother was straight up saying like don't fucking do this. This is like they're gonna spin narrative. I think his response is like, oh well, what can they even do? He got over cocky with his success.
I think his response was bad publicity. It's good publicity.
Well, no, because then they wouldn't be like having like the handlers for the people. They would just let them interview everybody. No, I don't think he's that like the first of all idea, all publicity is good publicity is like a fucking really dumb saying that's not based on truth. Some kind of publicity can get you deplatformed, can get you kicked off, can lose your payment processors. So I think Andrew Tate is a perfect example of how all publicity is definitely not good publicity.
But if it's before, maybe that before the deplatform, etc., maybe his idea was like, like I get a lot of hate already. It doesn't matter if this media corporation, if these big media platforms are gonna say shitty things about me.
He thought that would work in his favor, but
exactly
it didn't. That was a very silly mistake on his part. If I don't know how else to say it, but yeah,
I don't know. I'm gonna have to defend it before we move on, because it worked until then. So I don't think it was like, it came off to be a mistake on his part. But I think his processing was like it worked until then, and it's been doing wonders.
No, so Andrew Tate, that's not actually technically true. Andrew Tate got popular in like 6 months. There was like about a 6 to 9 month period from the part where he became popular to the part where he got deplatformed. He had a very short run. It was a very influential one, but it was a very short one. And so what got him popular was the fact there was like countless people sharing his videos, and he was like really polarizing and charismatic. He was playing a character. But then it was like right when people started, right when media companies started like really picking up on who he was and reporting on him, that's like right around the time he got deplatformed. So so he didn't become popular because he was like playing the media. Like Donald Trump, for example, played the media. Yeah, Donald Trump played the media. Andrew Tate was not like Donald Trump in that sense.
I thought that he, I can see his reasoning as to why he would do that.
Yeah, I can see his reasoning. It's just faulty reasoning.
And the viewers will be asking these questions.
It's a consistent leading question, it's a consistent narrative. What is the question about the good he's doing for men? Well, there's a very clear narrative. I need to lose.
In the days afterwards, Tate is banned from YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, to the protest of his fans.
They have shot.
Yeah, for the record, my position on this is really clear. I think it was wrong to ban him. I don't believe anyone should be deplatformed unless like they're directly inciting violence and saying, yo, go kill these people or something like that. Short of that, I think everyone deserves to have an opinion. And I think when you deplatform people, all you do is you push them underground, and then you radicalize their viewers. And when you silence someone, it makes people think that this person has something to say. So yeah, like I think deplatforming is almost always wrong. Almost always.
Us down. This is warfare against the West.
For a moment, it seems the deplatforming has worked. But then, he reappears on Instagram with an emoji covering his face.
You're lost. You understand you're living inside
I didn't know about that part.
a mechanism which is designed to control you. You don't.
He moves to Dubai, converts to Islam, sets up a new bank.
The convert to Islam thing I found like really fucking weird. Like, not to knock on his religion, but like I don't understand how that happened. Like if I ever get to interview him, I'm gonna be like, dude, can you explain how you converted to Islam? Like, Like, you used to talk about like Christianity and shit all the time. Like, how did you become Islamic? I guess I don't know. But hey, teach their own.
Entirely owned by him, and rebrands the Hustlers University as the real world. In the first month after being deplatformed, he made $11 million and got 250 million views on TikTok alone. Months later, Elon Musk reinstates his Twitter account and he gains 1 million followers in 24 hours.
I have no criminal charges. There's no charges at all against me. I have not hurt any women. No women are coming forward saying Andrew hit me. Zero.
Andrew maintains that he has never abused a woman. But when we get back from Romania, we finally managed to speak to some women from his past. Amelia began seeing Andrew in 2013. Due to fear of harassment from his fans, she is withholding her real name.
I always knew, if it was back in the day, there was always things said bad about him. But
oh, this chick has a manly ass fucking voice. No, I'm just kidding. That's the descrambler. Imagine that's what she actually sounds like. Yeah, Andrew Tate was a really good fuck. You know, I'm like, whoa, what the fuck?
When I seen him again in 2013, I thought, oh, all these rumors about him may be false because he's actually been really lovely. The first time I went around his house, because before it was like maybe 3-4 times we've gone on dates, we started to make out on the bed. Out of the blue, he literally stopped what he was doing and just laid back. He said, I'm just contemplating whether I should rape you or not.
Oh my God. Babe, what would you do if I said that to you? Not that I don't. I'm not, by the way, just to clarify for any SJWs watching this, I'm not actually laughing at rape. I think rape is obviously really messed up, and I think rapers should be punished severely. But I don't know if this actually is like indicative of anything, just besides him being like a fucking troll.
I promise you, within an instant, he changed. He just jumped straight on top of me, grabbed my throat, started suffocating me, strangling me. The more I didn't want to, it made him so much more aggressive to the point where he was pinning me down, hurting me. The things he was saying to me, he was like, who do you belong to? Who do you belong to? And the more I couldn't say it, the more he'd hurt me. So I couldn't see an escape. And at that point, I just gave up.
Yeah, it's like kind of tough. Like, what do you make of this? Like, it really comes down to whether she's telling the truth or not. Like, we don't know. We have no way of knowing, right? It's like this could go. This could cut either way. It could be that this was just role play, or this chick has like regret afterwards, or there's some allegations. I don't know if they're true or not, that some of these girls were being paid to make these statements to the media. Again, I haven't verified that one yet personally, so I'm just saying that's what I've heard. But
at face value, right?
Well, wait, hang on. Let me finish. So I'm saying it could cut two ways. It could be that this whole thing is just like nonsense, or it could be like it's 100% real, or it could be somewhere in the middle, right? Maybe he was like too aggressive, but he wasn't rapey per se. I don't know. It's like kind of hard to like decide what to make of this.
Are you gonna continue?
Oh yeah. But I do think that when like, I mean, there's a lot of women who get raped who never go to the police. I understand that, but it's like I do take things less seriously when there's like when the women didn't go to the police. Like maybe it's not fair, but
yeah, it's not fair. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it, because that's putting yourself as a woman from someone who I've met. A lot of my friends have gone through that experience, and the way they see it is, I'm not gonna put myself through that being public, because there's like a lot of shame into that. There's a lot of guilt. You sometimes think that, hey, I put myself in this position, when that's not necessarily the case. And that's something that I want to make about like what you were saying about rape and his comment about rape. A lot of the rapes and most rapes are by people you already know.
Yeah, of course. That's a common fact.
By people you already trust. So to say like, oh, women should not put themselves in a position where they can get raped. I think that a lot of these rape situations are of people you already know. So how can you not put yourself in a situation where you don't get raped, where these are men you trust, right?
No, the comment was women should do what's within their power to minimize their risk. Right. So, of course, you can't eliminate the risk, but there are things you can do to minimize, like, you know, maybe not go straight to a guy's house unless you know him really well.
I mean, understand. That just comes to the point, like, so that takes us back to the discussion we had like this week in your podcast, where you guys were saying like, yeah, like I hate it when girls. So what is it? What is it? Like, men do need to make up their mind. Or you hate it when girls kind of give you LMR because they have like some type of concerns when they find themselves in a situation of going to a house with a stranger. But at the same time, women should try to quote unquote minimize the way to get raped.
Those two things are not mutually exclusive. So the difference is we're looking at it from a girl's perspective, from a guy's perspective. So from a girl's perspective, it obviously makes sense to do things to minimize your risk, right? From a guy's perspective, it could be annoying when you're not a rapist, you're just a good-hearted dude, and you're giving a shit. But they're not exclusive. If Andrew Tate was making that statement from the woman's perspective, not from the man's perspective. So if I had a daughter, I would be like,
how can you make it from a woman's perspective when you're not a woman? You cannot relate. No, but like it's the same way as if I'm making a comment about a man's perspective, where I don't know what it's like to be a man. I don't know the struggle of what it's like to be a man. I can empathize. I can kind of like empathize with the struggles that men face, but I will never know. So
okay, do you think as a man it sucks to get? Do you think as a man it sucks to falsely get accused of rape?
Yes, of course it does.
But how do you know that you're not a man, right? It's like some of this shit is like common sense.
But like, as to say like, oh yeah, as a woman, from like the woman's experience, you should try to minimize your chances of getting raped, where you don't know what it's like to walk in the street and having guys look at you, follow you. I have that experience, like where I'm like dressing, like wearing sweatpants, and I had people follow me.
Those two things, babe. Those two things.
Wait, how can I minimize my risk of quote unquote getting raped? Where just the fact of me being a woman and just existing, there's a risk of me getting raped. And of course, women, we know how to minimize not to get raped. We've been taught this since we are little.
Honestly, okay, there's
like women need to quote unquote minimize the way. I find that disingenuous, and I find that.
Okay, do you think women should not minimize their chances of getting raped? Do you think women should not give a shit about it?
That's a reality, but just because you like quote unquote do not do enough, that like it puts the burden on the woman.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay, if you and I have a daughter, do you think, and we're raising our child, and she's like 16 and she's starting to date, right? And she asks for advice. She's like, hey, I'm worried about my safety. Do you think it makes more sense for us to say, oh, well, like, yeah, there's some bad rapist dudes out there, so it's like these guys are fucked up. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's, not much you can do. Or do you think it makes more sense for us to give her practical ideas? Like, hey, listen, maybe you should always go out with a friend. But that's exactly what he's saying. He's just saying that. And women, even though a lot of women LARP around as like, oh, we do everything already. A lot of women don't. And that is manifested by the way that I can repeatedly get random girls to come straight over my house. Now, look, I'm personally happy about that. But from a woman's perspective, it is very reckless to go straight to a guy's house you do not know. So women don't already do everything possible.
Some women don't, but for like a lot of women, sometimes you do everything that it's in your power not, quote unquote, not to get raped, and you still get raped. And it's
right. You're right, but it's not.
What people always say is like, oh, you shouldn't have gone for a walk at, let's say, like in the dark.
Okay.
There's like this rhetoric that sometimes puts the blame on women.
Okay, I think you might not be understanding me, because I think you're definitely smart enough to understand the point. So I don't think I'm communicating clearly. So there's a big difference between minimizing risk and blame. I think if a woman gets raped, irregardless of the circumstance, the blame is on the man, right? No one deserves to get raped, irregardless of what they do. So that we can just get that out of the way. However, there are practical things that women can do to minimize the risk, not eliminate. You can never eliminate it. And you're right. Sometimes you do every single thing right and something bad happens to you, right?
Of course.
But minimize, but you can minimize. There are practical things you can do to minimize. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, listen, if I had a daughter, I would give her common sense, practical tips from my years of experience on this planet to help her minimize the risk. We can never eliminate it. It's the same thing. You can't eliminate the chance of getting a heart attack, but you can minimize it by eating healthy.
Okay, what I'm saying is that women are always like, I understand what you're saying, and yes, that's the reality a lot of women live with. We're always trying to minimize, quote unquote, the risk of getting raped. But to say like I think like what I understood from his rhetoric was that women also have like some type of responsibility into getting raped or not getting raped. And sometimes you can minimize it, but that still does not make you responsible for that.
Yeah, you misunderstood
And
completely.
a lot of the rapes, most of the rape cases are by people you know.
Okay, you misunderstood. You completely misunderstood his argument. He explicitly, and we have the same position on this. He and I are saying that rape is 100% wrong, no matter what the circumstance, and the blame is on the perpetrators, on the dude who rapes the girl. So just because the girl was like flaunting her shit around doesn't mean that she's even 0.01% justified in getting raped, right? That goes without saying. However, as a woman, there are some things you can do to minimize your odds, not eliminate, but minimize. And you're agreeing with me that there are things. You're agreeing with me that a lot of women. Do you agree that a lot of women are reckless and don't take common sense precautions, right?
Some women,
a lot,
can be reckless. I don't think a lot of women are reckless. I think that in the majority of cases,
babe, you literally described that you thought that there's a good chance I was just selling you to human trafficking, but you went back to my place anyway on our first date.
Yes, but does that make me deserving of getting raped?
No. I don't know why you're doing this. No one is saying there's nothing. God, there's nothing that could make a woman deserving of getting raped. Nothing at all that she could do. But there are things that women can do to minimize her odds. So you're lucky that I'm a good person and I wouldn't do that. But there's a small chance that would be a rapey piece of shit. And when you told me no, I would have ignored that, right? So you could have, like, if you're looking at your life, do some things to minimize. Now, look, you don't have to do all those things. If you're comfortable with the small risk, then you can, live your life in a little bit more risky way. But as a woman, if you're like, all I want to do is minimize my chances of getting raped, then there are some things you could do. Just like if you drive a car, you can't eliminate your chance of dying from a car crash. There could be some drunk driver that hits you and kills you. But, you can avoid driving at 2 a.m. You can wear a seatbelt. You can follow the speed limit, right? There are things you could do. So we would never say to a driver that's like, well, it's like, just do like out of control.
That rhetoric is further perpetuating the idea that men should not be trusted. And as a woman, it's your duty to kind of like protect yourself and look after yourself?
I think some men cannot be trusted. It is a small percentage of men, but all it takes is one. I think it's important to realize that there are some bad people out there, men and women. But the difference is that a woman can't really rape a guy, but a guy can rape a woman. There are some bad men out there. And I think if I was a girl or had a daughter, I would do my best to minimize the odds of being exposed to one of those men. And like some of the things you do, like, for example, you do some of the things you girls do. You guys research the fuck out of that guy. That is good. That's something that I would do too if I was a girl. But some of the things girls, some girls don't do well. And I think there's nothing wrong with giving those girls some more practical advice, which literally in the end winds up protecting them and stopping them from being hurt. Like, I think that's a good thing. And I don't think you're doing women any favors by saying you have no control in this matter, and then you're taking all the control out of their hand, which only just increases their odds of having something bad happen to them.
That's not what I'm saying. Definitely, I understand that you as a woman definitely can, quote unquote, do things to give you the illusion that you're gonna be protected at the end of the day.
Wait, hang on, stop. It's not illusion.
If the majority of the rapes are by people you know, the majority of the women who get raped are by people they know.
Okay, let's take two.
What are you saying? Like that women should not trust the men in their lives? Because the majority of the rapes are by people you know.
I think women should be careful. But if we take two women, all factors being the same, one girl is a woman who's pretty careful. She doesn't go straight to a guy's house. She like vets the guy. She does her research. The other girl is a girl who walks around 3 a.m. with her titties out, goes back to every guy's house. Clearly, we can agree that the second girl is more likely to be raped. But either way, it would be wrong. So again, you're saying that like, well, you can't really eliminate the risk. I agree, you can't eliminate, but you can mitigate the risk. And there's some things that you can do that will mitigate that risk, and they're not just an illusion. They're practical things that you can do.
Okay.
But anyway, let's. I'm surprised we're even like disagreeing about this. I feel like we're talking about the same thing.
I feel that it's just putting a lot of the responsibility. I don't know. Let's just continue moving forward.
Okie dokie.
And when it stopped, he went to the bathroom and acted as if it was normal. So I'm like, maybe I did. Did I want it? Did I not? I definitely said to him, please don't, and he told me, shut the fuck up. Definitely got strangled. I definitely didn't want it. Did he think I wanted it? And you look back at the psychological...
Wait, this is kind of weird, because she says, did I want it? Did I not want it?
But that's something that a lot of
did I want it? Did I not? I definitely said...
Yeah, I just
like my friends who have gone through that situation, a lot of the things is a lot of blaming.
I get that. I'm just thinking like if I got like robbed and like I was doing an interview, it's like, did I want to get robbed? Did I not want to get robbed? I'd be like,
there's so completely different experiences.
Yeah, I understand like rape takes a massive psychological toll on a woman's health. I'm not saying this negates her story. All I'm saying is this is like a little bit of a weird statement. That's all. But yeah, it doesn't.
Because there's totally different experiences. You cannot say, oh, it's a weird statement because if I get robbed, did I want it or didn't I want? I mean, you have to experience whether if you ever get raped, if you're like, oh, I got raped, maybe I put myself in that situation.
No, I'm just saying, okay, if I ever go to jail and some big ass fucking dude rapes me and I'm doing an interview afterwards, I'm not gonna be like, did I want it? Did I not want to be like, yo, this fucker raped me?
That's different. That's completely different.
Okay, well let's not get lost in the weeds. We're like pretty close to finishing this video.
Being raped, they have found themselves in a situation where they're like, well, maybe I did something wrong.
I get that part. All I'm saying is this was like a fairly weird statement. All right, let's keep going. We're like literally making no progress.
Please don't. And he told me, shut the fuck up. Definitely got strangled. I definitely didn't want it. Did he think I wanted it? And you look back at the psychological warfare you have with yourself is like you couldn't even imagine. You wouldn't know, you wouldn't understand it unless you've been through it. Can't even say the damn word.
Have you since come to terms with the notion that that may not have been consensual, that may have been...
I know for a fact it wasn't consensual.
But it's hard to use the word.
Even though I know technically it's true, that did happen, that is what happened to me, I still don't like vocalizing it.
I will say this, that like, again, this chick's story could be 100% true. We just don't know. But this does happen. If I'm playing devil's advocate, that women, it's consensual in the moment. And then, sometime later they change their mind, they regret it. And then they backwards rationalize into the fact that it wasn't consensual. Again, I have no way of knowing whether that's what happened here, but just want to point out it does happen from time to time.
Amelia's method of coping with the alleged rapes was to pretend to herself that it was a normal relationship.
The abuse wasn't consensual because he knew I didn't want it, which he confirms in multiple voice messages and texts to me.
Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I fucking loved how much you hated it. Turn me on. Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit? You didn't fucking pass out. And all the women I've ever slept with, not a single one has ever bitched or complained like you are bitching and complaining now.
Every few months, Andrew would send me on a different number message to remind me of how dangerous he was.
I thought I'd remind you of the caliber of man I am. I am one of the most dangerous men on this planet.
This is like really fucking cringe. I don't know why he does that.
There are tactics to make sure I wouldn't go anywhere, go to the police, wouldn't report, would always be under his control. It was always to remind me that he was there.
After 6 months, Amelia eventually left Andrew when she says she began to fear for her own life. In 2014, she also decided to report the incident to police, who logged it.
A year after, I got a phone call from a police officer from Hertfordshire Police. She said to me, We have 2 other girls that have come forward and said the exact same thing as you. Would you please be willing to come onto this investigation to make this case stronger? And without any hesitation, I said yes. And I thought, well, if there's 2 other girls, I'm not alone now. I'm not alone.
One of those women was Sally. She was 20 when Andrew Tate approached her for webcam work. Due to fears of harassment from his fan base, she is also withholding her real name.
First night that I worked for him, Andrew bought me like 5 bottles of wine. So I got completely drunk because I'd never done webcam work. So I was very, very nervous. Then that night, we were just sitting on the bed and Andrew punched me in my arm. I went to the bathroom and cried. It really, really hurt to have someone just hit me in the arm for no reason. I was very confused.
Okay, that part is weird as fuck. Like, like, why would he punch her? I don't know. I believe her when she actually kind of says this, but like, I'm just trying to like what was going through his head? I don't fucking know.
But do you think that men who abuse women have like a lot of abusive people need a lot of reasons to abuse you, or the
well, I wouldn't know. I'm not a abusive person, so I don't.
But like, I don't know if you've met or been victim of abuse, but like,
no, I'm a dude who's gonna abuse me.
People do not really need a reason to be abusive. A lot of them just out of nowhere get triggered.
Yeah, sure, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Sorry, I don't want to cry.
It's okay.
So then when I came out of the bathroom, he was super, super nice. Like, from what I remember, Andrew didn't have any alcohol at all. It was literally just me. That night we cuddled and we ended up having sex and I was really, really drunk. That was my first night. Then it was kind of like every single night I would work.
Were there any other instances where there was physical abuse?
He used to strangle us as well. There was another time when he came into the bedroom, me and the other girl, we would sleep in the same bed with Andrew, but at this time the girl had a partner, so she was not interested in Andrew at all. And I had gone to the shower, I came back and I noticed he was, like, I saw him raping her. And when he threatened to beat me up in the bathroom, and he said, "Oh, I don't give a fuck if you call the police, I'm going to beat the shit out of you." That's kind of when I knew, I had to get out of there. I stopped working for Andrew about March, April time. I went to the police shortly after that. Nothing was done, really. The other girl that he had raped, she went to the police. And then that's when they arrested him and took him into custody for like 2 days. When Andrew was arrested, we were taken in for a proper interview. And it kind of just got left. I would send emails asking them to update. I'd hear nothing back.
When we reached out to Hertfordshire Police about this, they had this to say. We acknowledge that there were some delays to the investigation. This was addressed at the time and apologies were made. The decision to prosecute based on the police's evidence would be up to the Crown Prosecution Service.
Unfortunately, they turned around and just said, "Oh, we can't continue this case anymore. It's just insufficient evidence."
You witnessed the rape occurring. Did that not count as evidence for them?
No. They openly said it's really, really difficult to prove rape. Very difficult.
The Crown Prosecution Service said, in this case, we carefully reviewed all the evidence provided by the police regarding each complainant and concluded it did not meet our legal test and there was no realistic prospect of a conviction.
Okay, that's interesting. That's food for thought right there.
In the UK, only 1 in 100 reported rapes result in a charge, let alone a conviction.
Only one of how many rapes?
1 out of 100. If that's true, that's fucking crazy. I'm gonna fact check this after we're done. But if that's true, that's really fucking.
Can you fact check the US?
Yeah, sure. Let's just get through it and I'll fact check it.
Issued via his lawyer in Romania, Tate denied the assault or rape. He said, "They wanted money because I fired them. The police understood after the investigation that I am innocent, and the police found messages from the girls' phones where they were talking between themselves and planning to lie about me." Sally said, the CPS sent a letter saying that one of the reasons they didn't charge Tate was because they found voice notes on our phones where we talked about whether we should tell the police that he gave us alcohol. We were talking about it because that is what happened. He used to get us drunk.
They clearly didn't think. A text from a man to a woman saying, "I love raping you. I know what I do to you is abusive."
So that in of itself, I don't really think it could mean a lot given the context, but that in isolation doesn't really mean much. Like if someone was to like go through mine and yours texts or like the conversations we have, they would think I'm the most abusive, rapey motherfucker ever, right? So
No, they would not.
there's a lot of fucking role play that couples get into. So I will.
No, that I understand, but I'm just saying that they will not think you are.
If they listen to one of our late night conversations,
Yeah, I mean, or some of our like night conversations can be.
I would be fucking public enemy number one without context.
Yeah.
Controlling. To CPS, apparently, that's not enough. I did the bravest thing I think I ever done in my life, which was hell. 4 years of absolute hell, going through an investigation without anyone knowing, and basically to do it alone was all a waste.
Despite repeated requests, Tate's lawyer did not provide a response to Amelia's allegations. The Romanian investigation into Andrew Tate and his brother finally led to an arrest on the 29th of December.
The Matrix has attacked me.
Police accused.
Okay, that is cringe. Like the whole fucking Matrix attacked me. No, the Matrix did not attack you, dude. It was, you can make the argument that maybe like your case got way more attention than deserved because you're famous, but it's not the fucking Matrix. It is the fucking Romanian police department. And it's not a result of the stuff you were saying. It's a result of your previous business with the webcam shit. So I do find all this talk of the Matrix kind of cringe.
Of using the loverboy method to traffic at least 6 women into a Romania-based webcam sex business. But we now know similar allegations have dogged Tate for years. His followers are obsessed with the idea that the Matrix is conspiring against him. But if anyone in the story is the victim of a conspiracy, is it the multi-millionaire celebrity? Or is it the women who claim they were abandoned by the system?
You know, you see all these young men talking about how he's such a great guy and he's their idol and stuff, and that's so difficult to see. There are better role models out there. Don't be fooled by all the money and the nice cars and all the women. Working on yourself and becoming a better man and better mindset, yeah, but real men don't lay their hands on women.
That's true. A real man would not ever hurt a woman. I agree with that completely. I guess this is it. Oh wait, I think there's another, a little bit more. No, that's it. Okay, I actually fact checked it. So yeah, Vice was way off. Let me show the actual statistics. At least for the US. Okay.
They say the UK.
Okay. If rape is reported, there's a 50% chance of an arrest. If arrest is made, there's an 80% chance of prosecution. If there's a prosecution, there's a 58% chance of conviction. So yeah, I can look at UK, but for America, that's like
there's one Washington Post article that says less than 1%.
More than 99% of rapes to police report denied. No, this is, I mean, yeah, fucking UK system fucking sucks. Then I don't know what to say. Yeah, I guess their fucking criminal justice system sucks balls.
Can you go back to the US one?
Yeah.
Where are you getting that information from? Center? Because there's other ones that says less than 1% of rape lead to felony conviction.
Yeah, I don't really trust Washington Post. But anyway, it doesn't really matter.
But there's more than, say, 1%.
If we take this at like face, I don't know. Maybe
where is that coming from? Like, where is that? The one you're taking at face value?
It's coming from here.
Dave, can we go back from like what is the source of the information?
Yeah, it's Central MN Sexual Assault Center. So
and what is that like?
I mean, it seems like it's very like positive for like.
But hold on, what is that organization?
I don't know. I've not heard of them. But like this, we're going into like an irrelevant tangent. I will for argument's sake just assume that you're right. Because it's irrelevant to the argument. We're not talking about like the criminal justice system. It has nothing to do with Andrew Tate.
Okay, but like you're looking for like from like an organization like where.
I just literally took the first. I just literally took the first thing that I saw.
Because there's like a bunch that say only 1%.
1% of rapes that are reported. 1% of rapes that, because there's a difference. Like 1% of rapes where the woman goes to the police.
Let's just look at from like a legit organization, like something regarding to do with law enforcement.
Okay, let's go to FBI. statistics. The vast majority of perpetrators will not go to jail in prison. Out of every 1,000 sexual assaults, 9 to 70 will walk free. But the question is out of did those women go to the police? Okay, the majority of sexual assaults are not reported to police. Only 310 out of 1,000 sexual assaults are reported to police. That means 2 or 3 go unreported. Okay, so a very small percentage are reported. Out of those that
are reported, like
what?
check the ones that are reported, how many actually go to jail? What is the lengthness of the?
Okay, so it's actually pretty straightforward here. Okay, 310 reports to police, 50 reports lead to arrest. So that means that something like 15% lead to arrest.
That's still very 15.
Yeah, like something like that. If we do the math on that. Yeah, that's quite low. Yeah, it's not 1%, but it's 15%. Still pretty low. But yeah, like
pretty low.
Again, if the argument is that there's issues with our criminal justice system, I would 100%.
That's not the argument. I just wanted to know how.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's not go on this like massive side tangent about the criminal justice system. Okay, so I'll do my closing thoughts and you can give your closing thoughts. So I think that here's what I think. I think that clearly Andrew Tate is guilty of using the loverboy method, which is, in my opinion, highly unethical. But that's not illegal, right? So he's not going to jail. He's not arrested right now for using the loverboy method. He's accused of human trafficking, rape, and shit like that, right? Which is different. There's overlap, but it's not the same thing as just using the loverboy method. So it's just confusing, honestly, because like a lot of women have come forward on YouTube and have said who've like dated Andrew Tate or like associated with him, saying very, very positive things like, hey, this guy was very respectful. He never laid his hands on me. He was like, a lot of women have come forward, right? But then at the same time, we have, evidence of 2 women who came forward and said something negative. And it's like, who do we listen to, right? And I think at the end of the day, we just don't know. I think that at this time, no physical evidence has come out, but it could. So I think just really the only logical position to take is to just really wait for the evidence to come out and see how this case unfolds. It could very well be that Andrew Tate is guilty. It could very well be that he's not guilty. We just don't have enough information at this point. We just have a lot of conflicting evidence. Dozens of women saying, hey, this guy was fucking totally respectful, and 2 women saying, hey, this guy was a rapist. And again, they could be telling the truth. They could not be. So I think it's you just have to wait for the evidence to come out, and then we can come to the come to the right conclusion. But I think it's premature to jump to a conclusion. That's my.
I have a question, because and this is legit. I don't really know much. Question number 1: was this just based on the woman who reported him?
Sorry, what?
He's arrested just based on 2 women. I understand it was 6 women.
Well, we don't know what evidence the police has or doesn't have. Okay, he wasn't. It was him, his brother, and 2 women that were arrested. So it was
okay. So because you're saying there's only 2 women who came forward accusing him of rape and trafficking. My understanding it was that it were 6 women who accused him of rape.
I don't know. I'm going off what we saw in the Vice documentary, which is 2 women who've come forward publicly and have given a statement.
Exactly, but I didn't see from the Vice documentary dozens of women coming forward.
Right. Well, yeah. I don't know about the women who came forward privately and are not in the public record.
My understanding is that he did not get convicted from those 2 women. He got convicted from other women who
he's not convicted. He hasn't been convicted.
He got accused. He was imprisoned due to 6 women who came forward to the police and accused him of sexual trafficking, rape, and violence.
But also another interesting thing that I've seen is that 2 out of those 6 women have already changed their story and said that he's innocent. So I think that part is also kind of interesting.
That can be, I don't know, I think it's important to not go on that too much, because you don't know if they have been coerced or they have been, I don't know, sometimes the pressure can be too much. That a lot
right, but at the same token,
I don't think that the police would have taken it lightly and would have not put him in jail for a reason. And something that I do wanted to ask, and something that I just don't like, why was he taking their passports?
Yeah, again, like I think I've been.
That makes me question a lot of things. Why was he taking their passports?
Yeah, I mean, like again, I've made a pretty definitive statement against the loverboy method. I think it has to do with that. I think he was taking their passports because that decreases their likelihood of quitting his like little webcam operation. So yeah, I think that was like kind of like messed up, but that's not illegal. It's just messed up.
I mean, according to like, let's define sex trafficking. Because I really like Destiny's take on that. Like when you guys went on Vault Media.
Yeah, I think Destiny's a little biased here, but yeah, go ahead.
And so, like, what is sex trafficking in the first place? Can you pull that up?
Yeah, so sex trafficking involves three things. It involves violence, it involves fraud, and involves coercion. So
Okay,
so
the
I would have to be
let's go
somehow.
with the first one. Okay, violence. What has he been accused of being violent towards these women?
Has he what?
Has he been like accused by these women of being violent? From like the information, do we know? Do we know if
We don't that the prosecutor hasn't like revealed what the case is, so we really don't know what those women. All we know is the two women who've come out on Vice. We don't know about any of the other women. We don't know. We can't see their statements. We can't see any of that. The police and the prosecutor has that info. We don't have it.
Okay, so the first one was violence. What was the other one?
Coercion and fraud.
So what would you define coercion? What would be categorize something as coercion?
Well, it's somewhat subjective, but generally the way I would see it is like when the girl is like, where it's like, hey, like you have to do this, otherwise like your family.
Taking your passport, something that would be coercion?
Depends on how it was taken. If he's like, hey, give me your passport, versus if he's like, hey, do you want me to hang on to your passport for you? And the woman's like, yeah, sure.
Ask for their passport back. They have a chance to get it freely.
So, yeah,
one of the videos, he was incriminating himself.
Well, again, we don't know that. We don't have the info. As far as he says that yes, I would absolutely give him the passport back. He could be lying. We don't know, but we don't really know what happened. Whether he would or would not give him the passport.
But, okay, so like the taking of the passport. Just let's say the taking of the passport. Will that be coercion?
Depends on how it was done. If he's stop, you keep cutting me off. Hang on, you asked me a question, then I'm like answering the question, then you're just like interrupting me.
I think it's a yes or no question. Like
no, because it depends on how it was done. It depends on how it was done. So if he's like saying, hey, you got to give me your passport, then yeah, that would. If he's saying, hey, do you want me to hang on to your passport for you? And so it doesn't get lost, then no, it would not be. So
how does that matter? Because you can have like many ways on killing someone.
Okay, when you and I travel to Colombia together, right? And I say, hey, babe, do you want me to hang on to your passport for you? And you say, sure. And then I hang on to your passport. That's not going to be coercion. But if I physically take the passport out of your hands, or I put pressure on you to give me the passport, then that would be.
But what if I ask for it back and you don't give it back to me?
Yes, that would be fucked up. But we don't know if that actually happened or not.
Asked, like, why does he have the passport of every girl that works for him?
I think we don't know, but my theory is that he did that because it gave him an element of control.
Okay, is that coercion?
Not necessarily.
Taking the girl's passport.
Being controlling is not the same thing as being
control. Would the law classify that as coercion?
No, being controlling is not the same thing as being coercive. You can make the argument that can be controlling when it comes to certain things, but I'm certainly not coercive. They're not the same thing. We don't have the answer about whether he would or would not give the passport back.
Just taking the passport, I don't know. It comes off as being coercion. It comes off as, why do you need, if they're there in their free will and they can leave whenever they want, what do you need their passport? That's just a question I want to just like live out there.
Yeah, well, the implication is that I'm
not having any implications. I'm just saying that why, if the girls are free to go anytime they want, why do you need to hold on to their passport?
Okay,
Like that's the question I'm just putting it without any type of implication.
okay. Well, I mean, okay, if you say so. It sounds like there's an implication, but either way,
What
I
is the
think that
implication? What does
the implication is because he had their passwords, then therefore there's something shady going on. There's coercion, and
What?
there very well could be something shady going on. We just
My
don't know.
question is, if there's nothing going on, why do you need their passport? That to me, it's something that it just personally doesn't click, and just gives me the vibe that he's not as innocent. And
Well, when me and my dad travel, I give him my passport. If my dad is in,
your dad, there's a difference between your dad and, let's say that, okay, let's just give an example. Let's say that you're like, okay, babes, I want you to come to Belarus with me, right? Not like, and I trust you, and I really do trust you, but why would I give you my passport? Why would you need to hold on to my passport if I'm just going there just to be with you as an equal? And I don't know, like, to me, it's just, there's something that doesn't click right there.
because you're looking at it from your perspective of someone who would not want to give your passport to someone else. But it could be that it's purely voluntarily, and that he was.
Do you think every girl volunteered to give their passport to him?
But we don't know if he had every single girl's passport.
He said that, like, my understanding was.
You're making so many assumptions
No, I'm
about
not making assumptions.
without the facts.
He said that he take their passports. He implied that he takes all these girls' passports.
He said that, yeah. He said that, yeah. I would get the girls' passports, yeah. But he didn't say it was every single girl's passport. He said that generally. He said generally. That was his generally. Stop. Generally, that was his MO, to take the girl's passport. But he never said that I had every single girl's passport.
Okay, so why generally do you take their passports? I don't think generally every girl will give you their passport.
Well, you're asking the wrong person, because I personally would not be fucking taking girls' passports. I'm just trying to be fair to the case. I'm just trying to be fair and look at it from both sides.
It's coming off that you're going more leaning towards he's innocent.
I believe everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and he has not been proven guilty yet. And I think it's definitely extremely possible that he is guilty. But I think
a lot of things. I'm seeing, like, I think that you're willing to overlook a lot of things.
Well, I'm not willing to come to conclusions about facts that haven't been released. Like, you don't know.
I'm just questioning if coercion was not involved, why are you taking their why are you taking their passports? Passports are such an important thing. Like, if you're in a country as an immigrant, you need your passport to identify yourself. In a lot of countries, in America, this is not very common, but in a lot of countries, the police stops you and asks for your identification.
Okay.
So how, as an immigrant, would you give your identification to someone else if the police were to stop you?
I don't know why you're so, like, obsessing about this passport thing.
Because that's important. I think it's important that, why are these girls who are in a country as immigrants? I have to check if in Romania it's something that it's used, where they stop you and ask you for your documentation. But in a lot of countries, that's the case. In a lot of countries, the police has the right to stop you and ask for your identification.
Okay.
So
You're in a country, okay.
In most countries, actually, if you're in a country where the police stops you and asks you for your identification, why would I give my passport? If I am an immigrant, why would I give my passport to anyone else? That's something
you're like so obsessed with this passport thing. It's like
important. It's part of the coercion.
It's actually like one of the least important parts of this whole thing.
No,
it's much more important. It's much more important to look at like we can discuss the witness testimonies. But okay, let me address your question, since we're talking about the passport thing. Okay, so it could have gone any one of two ways. We weren't there. The prosecutor hasn't released the evidence yet, so we don't know exactly how it went. But it could have been that this dude was just doing it because he likes to feel control, and maybe he thinks girls are dumb and they're going to lose their passports, and he feels responsible. And it's coming from like a somewhat good place. It could be that it's coming from a totally fucking malicious place, and he's doing it. And then if the girls asked him for the passport back, he would have said that. Or it could be that he was literally just doing it for safekeeping, and he would have given back to them. We don't know. And I think it's pretty reasonable to stop. Let me finish. And I think it's pretty reasonable to wait until that information is released before we make a definitive statement about whether this is shady or not. We don't know that whether this was done in a malicious way or not.
I don't know. I think you're giving him so much benefit of the doubt.
But I think you're doing the typical thing that like chicks do, is just like they jump.
Typical thing of what chicks do, that they jump into conclusions. All I'm saying is that getting someone else's passport, that's not normal, and that's a lot of.
I agree with you.
Modus operandus of what sex traffickers do.
Okay, I agree with you that.
First thing they do, they take away the girl's passports.
Okay, I agree.
We don't know. No, like that's the
can I get like a word in this discussion? Okay, we don't know. Okay, I agree with you. It's not a normal thing to do. I agree with it's weird, right? But there's big stop. There's a big difference between someone being weird and unusual and someone engaging in criminal behavior. We agree that the passport thing is weird as fuck, but we don't know yet if there's criminal behavior or not. I don't think it's fair in the chance that this man is innocent to jump to conclusions without having information and just assume that he's guilty, because I know that if that happened to me and I was innocent of something and every single person without having all the facts just jumped on it and said I was guilty, I would not like that.
I think it's guilty, but Alex, taking away girls' passport, it's not unusual for sex traffickers.
Sure, but we don't. I agree with you. It's unusual.
Like, I'm not saying that we don't know, but all I'm saying is that that's a very usual activity of sex traffickers. The first thing they do is they take the girls' passports. It's not unusual if you're a sex trafficker.
I understand that. It's also not unusual that if you're a sex trafficker that you are, I don't know, you wear t-shirts, but it doesn't mean that everyone who wears a t-shirt is a sex trafficker.
No. Because like it's very unusual for the normal guy to, if they're traveling with a girlfriend or if they're traveling with whomever, to not take their passports. That's not a usual activity. That's not a normal activity.
Everyone, this point
it's very normal for sex traffickers to take away the girl's passport.
Yes, we get
That's
that.
all that I'm saying. And what is he being accused of? Sexual trafficking.
I understand that there's a lot of
take away their passports. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's not. It's not all you're saying. You're implying that because he took their passport away, then that there's a good chance he's guilty. And all I'm saying is don't jump to stop. All I'm saying is don't jump to conclusions and wait for the evidence to come out before you definitively condemn this man that you know nothing about.
I'm saying that what I'm saying is that I find it weird that he engages in a behavior that sex traffickers engage in. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, if that doesn't sound like you've totally changed your position, but
no. I said from the beginning that I found it weird that he's taking this girl's passports.
I find it weird that he is a man and most sex traffickers are men. So yeah, I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird that he has a. I think stop. I think stop. Let me finish. Stop. You gotta stop interrupting. I find it.
Interrupts me.
I'm just literally trying to get. I can't get a point across. Okay, just let me get a point across.
Neither can I.
You can speak for like 2 hours after this. We've been like obsessed with this passport thing, but again, this logic doesn't really work because I could say I find it weird that this guy's a man and most sex traffickers are men, right? But the implication is that because of that he's guilty. So it's like I think you might not be trying to say that he's a sex trafficker, right? Explicitly, but the implication is pretty clear. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the chat.
My question is.
Stop. I still haven't finished. Is that I think the chat, can like say whether they feel like there's a strong implication there or not. But to me, it feels like there's a very strong implication that because of that he's guilty. Again, we agree that it is weird as fuck. And it is certainly possible this guy's guilty as fuck, but we don't really know yet because all the facts haven't come out.
All am I asking?
Well, I just gotta take a piss. Wait, hold that Solar for a second.
Oh, you guys, I want you to make my new dog. Mi Lola. Lola, say hi to the chat. Hi, everyone. She did not let us sleep last night. I was very scared that Alex will step on her because she matches us with his carpet. Alex Resch quit his own show. Yes, he did. No, she needs a passport. I'm actually babysitting Lola, but I'm not gonna give her back. I'm gonna do an Andrew Tate where I'm gonna kind of like.
Alrighty, carry on, my love. Go ahead.
Passport. Alex, do dogs need passports to travel?
Back to the passport.
Do they need passport? My boyfriend is like, I'm not taking her to Nicaragua because she needs a passport.
Wait, what? What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Are we going to talk about this passport thing like all night? Like I feel like we covered this.
They were like, Nati, did you take her passport? But it reminded me that my friend did not take her to Nicaragua because she said that dogs need passports.
Okay. I feel like you really are like stuck on this passport thing. Do you want, when we go to Colombia, I have an idea. When we go to Colombia, I'll let you hang on to my passport so you feel like you get this element of control. Because I feel like you really care about the passport. So I'll give you my passport. I'll find some random old lady's passport.
Before we move forward, because like I think we're kind of worrying people here. Is there a correlation? Is one of the behaviors that sex traffickers engage in a very important behavior that sex traffickers engage in is taking away these girls' passports? Yes or no? Just say yes or no.
Everyone knows that.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. We can move forward.
Okay, it really doesn't sound like that's what you were trying to say. It sounds like you're trying to
saying that to me. I find that highly weird. I find that being something that a lot of sex traffickers engage in. It makes me question. It makes me question a lot of things, and it makes it hard for me to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt.
Do you understand the difference between correlation and causation?
I understand, and I understand, but like that being something that sex traffickers engage in so much, and if he's quote unquote innocent, which we don't know. But the fact that he's taking away their passports, to me, that's something that it's highly it's highly concerning. Two, that's something that sex traffickers, the first thing they do.
You know what's another thing about sex traffickers? They typically live in third world countries like Eastern Europe or Colombia. I just think it's weird that this guy lives in like Eastern Europe, and that's where like a lot of sex traffickers live in. There are some things that are correlated. They're not necessarily indicative of causation.
Exactly. But like that's all I'm saying. I'm saying that the fact that there's a lot of things that kind of like, that he does that a lot of sex traffickers do makes me question his innocence.
It's literally just the passport thing.
No, it's not only the passport thing. Wasn't he stealing from these girls too? Wasn't there a video of him saying that he stole from them?
He was saying, yeah, so this is like one thing I've called him out on many times, but yeah, he basically said in the video that he would lie to the girls about how much money they have to pay for taxes, and he would like pocket the difference. So yeah, like that part was like super messed up. I'm not a fan of
that part of like can you go back to the definition of a sex trafficker?
Does that go into sex trafficking? I don't know. I don't think you need to
go back to the definition of sex trafficking.
I don't know about that. I mean, a lot of people steal
Go
from
back to the definition of sex trafficking.
What?
So what are the three components of sex trafficking?
You already know the answer to that.
Violence,
fraud, and
fraud.
coercion.
Is that fraud? Would you could say that's
Well,
fraud?
we got the fraud element, right? We just don't know if we have the violence or the coercion element.
I mean, wouldn't stealing your passport coercion?
Well, we don't know if he stole their passport.
Taking their passport. He admitted that he took their passports.
He admitted that he would hang on to their passports, different than stealing a passport. Right now, I am hanging on to your fucking nighttime mask. Doesn't mean I stole it from you.
My nighttime mask.
The people, do you not see there's a difference between having something and stealing it? It may be that he stole it, maybe it's not.
So okay, like let me say I gave you my passport, right?
Yes.
And we don't know if when the girls asked, he gave it to them.
Right, we don't know.
Something we don't know. I give you that. But wasn't he accused? And this is a question that I really don't know. Wasn't he accused like of a lot of girls saying that when they wanted to leave, he wouldn't let them leave? Some of the girls were saying that when they wanted to leave, he wouldn't let them leave.
I don't know. I haven't
They
seen
come
it.
and go as they wanted to. Didn't he in a video said that they were highly supervised and that they did not have free, like if let's say I wanted to go, like I think
The only video that I'm aware of where that's referenced is when he's saying, and this one is like I kind of think he's being hyperbolic, is when he said that yeah, my girls, they don't go to the club, they just like fucking work all day. But yeah, some of the girls came out saying they were open to leave, and there's like girls who literally say, yeah, I left. Like, so there's girls who've like accused him who said, yeah, I got tired of it and I left. So clearly some girls, clearly girls were free to leave if you're going off like what was said.
so like in a lot of the things, because like I think you told me about him making a video and a lawyer saying that like he incriminated himself.
Yeah, he definitely has made some statements that are going to be really fucking not going to look good to a prosecutor.
Okay, so what were some of the things he said?
Some of the things he said in that video, I mean, I watched it like 3 weeks ago, but he made a lot of hyperbolic statements that are going to look really bad in front of a prosecutor. The tricky thing is also discerning between what was hyperbole and what was him like actually being serious, right? That part is like open to interpretation. Just be honest. You think this guy's 100% guilty?
I don't think any of that. I'm just because you're defending him. You're like, oh, he's being hyperbolic. And some of the girls, you're like, oh, we don't know. We don't know if what they're saying is the truth.
I don't know how.
The thing is that you're like, oh no, he's
okay. When Andrew Tate fanboys watch this video, they're going to say that I rushed to judgment and I was way too harsh on him.
No, you seem like you're one of his fanboys, and I'm on the other hand, I'm asking questions. And you're getting a little.
I've literally pointed out multiple things that I thought were wrong or grim.
And do you check what you're saying? You're like, oh, he was being hyperbolic.
Am I a fanboy just because I am not rushing to the conclusion that he's guilty?
But you're accusing me of rushing to the conclusion that he's being guilty, where I'm just trying to put like some things on the table. Where I'm like,
I know you well enough to know that's not what you're doing. You have a way of asking questions in a very leading way, and then when you get pushed on it, you go back and you say, "Oh, I'm just asking questions."
And that's all I'm doing. Like
we both know you're not. We both know you're not just asking questions.
I legit don't.
What do you think? What do you think is the likelihood he's guilty? Give me a number.
I think that like I don't really know, to be honest. There are some things that to me just do not make sense. To me, like a lot of these things he said kind of implicate him, and you're like, oh, he was being hyperbolic or he was joking.
No, I didn't say that at all. I said there are some things he said
like,
where we can't tell if he's being hyperbolic or being serious. I'm not saying he was being hyperbolic and every single thing he said.
He was being hyperbolic.
I said that there's a chance he was being hyperbolic.
You said he was being hyperbolic. You said he was being hyperbolic, or am I going crazy?
No, I said in my opinion, based on that one statement in that one video, I thought it was hyperbole. Again, that's open to interpretation. There are some things he says which I don't think were hyperbole. Like, for example, when he says, stop. When he says that
how he treats me, like you see how he silenced me.
Most of the chat is saying that you are the one treating me bad. By the way, guys, for the chat, me and Natty, like this is what we do. This is not like we're not breaking up. We're not like fucking. We get into these like heated debates, and it's like it's for fun.
But it's so good.
It's just like this is like the first time we just did it publicly. But yeah, this is not like
it's so good.
this is not like indicative of anything. But okay, so
we're a super healthy couple.
Yeah, except I can't get a word in sometimes. Okay, so the what was I gonna say? So so I said that, for example, with the stealing the money thing, I don't think that was hyperbole, in my opinion. I thought that was he was genuine there. But there are some things, again, he says a lot of shit. Some of it is hyperbole, some of it is not. The challenge is figuring out what's hyperbole or not. But so there's some things that I think he was dead serious about, some things that I personally believe are hyperbole, but I'm not convinced of that. It's just purely my opinion. I'm speculating.
So
but that's not the same thing. You can't say that I just assume everything he says hyperbole. Like I've literally straight up said earlier in the thing that this guy is 100% guilty of using the loverboy method, which I think is extremely unethical.
Okay, so going back to some of the things he said, do you find them to be where he's implicating himself?
I think how do you use the word? You mean elite?
I remember that a lawyer was like, yeah, he's highly implicating himself. There's a huge chance that the prosecution is going to use it against him because in this video, I'm just putting words in his mouth. But from what I took from this lawyer's kind of like take on the video, there's a big chance that he's gonna be in for a long time because in here he's basically admitting to sex trafficking. So
when he goes to court, the prosecution is going to play all those clips, and
something important to remember: Romania, it's not like in the United States where it's like a jury; it's towards a judge.
Oh yeah, I don't really know much about the Romanian system, but anyway, so what's going to happen either way, regardless of whether it's like America or not, is the prosecution is going to play those clips, and they're going to be like, "Look at this shit." Now, this is very similar to the Alex Jones trial, right? I don't know if you followed that, but in the Alex Jones trial, the prosecution played a bunch of clips of him, whatever, saying shit, and the defense's argument was this is hyperbole, right? And it's like at that point, it's like just like does the judge or the jury, do they agree with you or do they agree with that? Yeah, it's open to interpretation.
Because then she will not let me sleep tonight.
But I'm definitely not saying that, hey, I think single thing this guy says is excused by hyperbole. I think some of the things he said was hyperbole, some of it was not. It's open to interpretation. I'm just simply giving my interpretation about each thing. But I think like a solid percentage of things he says, I'll be like, yeah, it didn't seem like hyperbole to me. But then other things he says, I'm like, this seems like hyperbole. But I'm not gonna take random things he said, which that he was trolling or being sarcastic about, and use that as a way to like say that this guy's clearly guilty.
Okay.
All right, let's bring on. We got a whole bunch of people backstage. I think we got.
We're gonna attack me there. All of you are gonna gang against.
I think some people are gonna attack me, but I don't really give a shit.
Attack him!
I'm like nicer to you than I am like to anyone, but like if let's see how it happens. All right, Q2, let's hear your argument.
No, I don't have. I mean, Natty is just doing great right now. She's like, she pretty much said all. Yeah, she pretty much said all I was really gonna say in terms of like the thing.
Because you guys are both blue pillars.
No, but you're like running defense. Like I feel like with the statements that you're saying, you're kind of just like, well, he's kind of joking, guys, but like. You would have to admit, even in the court of law, it looks bad, even if he is just joking.
Yeah, it looks very bad. He has fucked himself over with his hyperbole. Yeah, it looks very bad.
It's hyperbole. Why don't you like?
Right, but so at the end of the day, even if he was joking, he still has made these statements and admitted to sex trafficking in his videos by his statements, even if he was just joking.
He has never admitted to sex trafficking.
So he's admitted to taking girls from one place, putting them in another place, admitted to taking their passports, admitted to making it extremely hard for them to leave, and admitted to making them work in the sex industry. But that's not sex trafficking.
One of those things isn't true. He hasn't admitted to making it really hard for them to leave.
Well, by taking the passports, that's one indication that he made it harder for them to leave. Because if you go from one country to another and you're an immigrant, you don't have your passport, like Natty was saying, then it's super hard to leave. So he made it harder to leave. And even if he was just trying to literally like hold the passports because they're irresponsible, it looks bad and it wasn't the right move to do. And it made
because something looks bad doesn't actually mean it's true, but I agree with this looks bad. So he has admitted to the following. He has admitted that he ran a webcam studio and he would recruit girls who were first timers in porn. He admitted to the fact that he would hold on to their passports. He agreed. He admitted to the fact that he stole some money from them, pretending like tax reasons. So he has, by his own statements, met one out of the 3 criteria for sex trafficking. But he has not
How many of the 3s? 2 of the 3s.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't admitted to violence, and he has not admitted to direct coercion. Just hanging on to the passport while you may think it's coercion will not legally qualify as coercion, unless evidence comes out that they were forced to give him the passports. That would be different.
All right, so let's go with this. If let's say you don't trust me, right? Obviously, because you don't know me. Would you allow me to hold your passport?
Would I allow you to hold my passport?
Just hold it. Go, like if I say, "Hey, dude, let me hold your passport," I'll give it right back. Do you trust me?
What's the context? Are we like traveling together, or am I like mailing you?
No, like I just like let's say it's the next PWF like 200,000 subscriber thing, and I'm just like, "Hey, man, yo, let me hold your passport. I just want to hold it."
Would I personally give you my passport? No.
Yeah.
So let's say you're in a
But I would give Natty my passport.
language where you're not a citizen of such country, and I'm like, hey babes, give me your passport.
Well, first of all, I'm not a 19-year-old girl. I think I'm like way more mature and have more life experience. So we can't. What I would do is not going to be the same as what a dumb 18-year-old girl would do. That's the first thing. The second thing, it depends on the context. If you and I travel, I would actually let you hold on to my passport.
So these girls were 19. Oh, I did not know that.
They were young. They were like, I don't know if they were 19 per se, but they were on the younger side. They were like early 20s or something like that. So in some contexts, I would let someone I trust hold on to my passport. Sometimes I would not. Do I think it was dumb for the girls to do that? Yes. But just because the girls were being dumb and what he did was unusual doesn't mean that there's criminal behavior.
But hold on, it's important to emphasize that it's not unusual for sex traffickers to take away the girl's passport.
You made that point like 50 times.
But it's important because you're still saying it's unusual. It's not unusual for sex traffickers. You just said because it's unusual, but it's not unusual for sex traffickers to do so. I think that's important to keep that in mind. It's unusual for regular people to do it, but it's not unusual for sex traffickers to do that.
You seem to know a lot about sex trafficking.
Of course, I come from a country that engages in a lot of sex trafficking.
Okay.
I have a great analogy. So it's not unusual to ask to borrow somebody's phone, but if it's a stranger or something like that, there is a common scam, maybe in Miami, maybe in New York, whatever, where it's like somebody asks like, "Oh, let me make a call real quick on your phone," and then they just run off with the phone or whatever. So like you could have a very common action where if it was my mom, I would just give my phone to my mom. But like if it's in certain situations, it's more likely that it's somebody that's trying to cause harm or something bad is going to happen if you give that person your phone. And when you're talking about all the things, dumb naive girls going into like a webcam business and they're getting their money stolen, this guy doesn't seem this guy isn't trustworthy and all that stuff. All those things combined means that I'm leaning towards that holding the passport as a power play and controlling. And you said also, Alex, before you said it was a way of controlling them, or possibly a way to control them.
That's my speculation, but yeah, I think that if I had to take a guess, I would say is that okay. I think a much better analogy is this.
Okay.
If some random dude went up to you on the street and was like, "Hey man, I really need to make a call. Can I borrow your cell phone for a minute?" Would you do it?
You're asking the wrong person. I actually would, but most people wouldn't. You're right. Most people wouldn't.
But you would, right? I actually probably would too, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so,
but then I'm like staring at them the whole time, and I'm like 2 feet away from them. It's
right,
different.
right. But you would, right? So it's some of the people who are going to ask for your cell phone are going to run away with it, and some of them are going to use it to make a legitimate call. We could say, well, it's not unusual for a phone thief to go up to a person and ask to borrow their phone, which is technically true, but implies that the people who are doing that are all going to steal the all going to steal the cell phone. So it's not really fair to just look at someone who we know as of now. All we know is that this person asked to borrow someone's cell phone and just automatically say that means they must be a thief, right? Because it could be that, or it could not be that. But we need to wait for the evidence and see what their intention was with that thing that they borrowed.
Okay, so like something that I want to bring up, it's what is he being accused of?
He's being accused of rape, human trafficking, and I believe tax fraud.
Trafficking, right? One of the things he's being accused of is sex trafficking.
Yes.
Getting people's passport, it's not something that the normal person does. It's not usual in what normal people do, right? But where is that usual? For sex traffickers. That's all I'm saying. And what is he being accused of? Sexual trafficking.
Right. You've made this point like 50 times.
But I think it's important because you're just not getting it.
Okay, I understand that sex traffickers. Okay, well, here, maybe this will make you happy. I understand that sex traffickers typically get the women's passports. I fully acknowledge that.
You say typically, what percentage do you?
I don't know. I'm not a sex trafficker.
Of
That being said, just because someone asked to hold on to a girl's passport doesn't make them a sex trafficker. But I agree, there's a correlation.
Okay.
Cool.
That's all I'm saying.
Do you want to ask the dog what she thinks about passports?
I don't have my passport yet. And that's
Why? Are you holding on to her passport for her? You must be a sex trafficker.
I'm not I'm a drug trafficker because I'm stealing her from her real mommy.
Got some snow.
There we go. All right, Q2, what are some other points you have?
Oh, no, it's just so you basically, I just don't think you're admitting that even if he was joking. Okay, so I'll try another analogy. If I make a bunch of like murder jokes and like rape jokes and all that stuff, and I get accused of murder, it doesn't mean that I'm automatically guilty, but it makes those statements questionable. And I just don't feel like you're questioning those statements.
No, I think it's very questionable. I agree.
Right. So it's all questionable, and like what I'm getting at is like, it's for us as just regular people, it's questionable. For the prosecution, all that stuff is going to be a little bit more. They're going to dig into these statements. He's going to have to backward rationalize and like fucking debate himself out of all the statements that he made, all the behaviors that he exhibited, which are the behaviors of the sex trafficker. And again, the lover boy method is a way to sex traffic, and it's not always used that way, but it is like that because he's being accused of this, everything, and because of all the behaviors that he did before, he used the lover boy method, made the girls think they were a boyfriend, whatever, to get these girls to move to a different country to do sex work. That's like trafficking. That is trafficking.
Okay, so let me say this like for the 25th time. I agree that there's a lot of things that are very sus. I agree with that. What I'm not comfortable doing is jumping to a conclusion before all the evidence comes out.
No one is jumping into conclusions. What we're doing is like, because you've been defending him, you've been like, oh, but like we have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, we do.
You do. Am I wrong? Like, or wasn't he like, oh no, like he was being hyperbolic, or in my opinion, because like I know Alex well enough to know that when he says in my opinion, and he has in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
No, I got you. No, but I'll say this: Andrew Tate is not guilty. He is not guilty because we got him in charge.
Okay, so I don't know how you could watch that whole thing and just think that I'm like passionately defending Tate.
Hold on,
literally,
the dog's mom who's calling me. I'll be BRB.
I literally said multiple times, "Hey, I think this is fucked up. Hey, I think this is wrong. I'm not a fan of this." So I don't know how anyone like literally will look at that and just think that I'm just like blindly defending Tate. Like, I think I like really went through it in a very objective way, but I think it's really cringe when Tate fanboys say that, oh, this is all a conspiracy. And it's equally as cringe when Blue Pill SJWs say that this guy must be guilty and refuse to wait for the evidence to come out. And like you guys might not say it like super directly, but the implication is pretty fucking clear.
I agree. Well,
that's what he caused. All of these implications, and again, Andrew Tate is not guilty or innocent because he hasn't gone through the trial. So I'll say that loud and clear. But the implications are also what happened?
But you think he's guilty?
I don't think he's guilty. I don't know. I don't care.
Oh, wait, so if you don't know if he's guilty, then what disagreement do we have? Because I don't know if he's guilty either.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there's like a lot of things that are super sus, and we wanna, like, just for the sake of discussions, like in my case, just for the sake of discussion, I just want to put them on the table.
I've acknowledged that there's many things that are sus.
And what you said, that Natty, you think, I know you so well that I know where you're going with this, and I know your implications.
Well, yeah. What do you think? Okay, what do you think is the likelihood that he's guilty? Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know. Like,
you just give me a ballpark. If you had to bet your money, what do you think it is?
I think there's some of the things that makes me very suspicious, and there's.
Oh, stop. You think it's like 99%?
I've never said that.
Yeah, I think it's just.
Can you name me one thing that might point to the fact that he's not guilty? Just name me.
For one, I don't have all the information at hand.
No, based on the information you have, can you point out like one thing that might make you question whether that he's guilty?
I mean, like the girls who are coming in defending him. Oh, hold on, it's the dog's mom. Amiga, ¿cómo estás?
Okay, I'm gonna mute you while you do your little doggy phone
Yeah.
call.
So those other girls' testimonies, and I guess the people around it, the people around him, I guess, even though it's the worst type of testimony, they would make me question if he's guilty or not. But I'm saying, I want to state again that I don't think that he's guilty or innocent. I just think that he's kind of fucked in court. That's what I think is gonna.
So you're literally saying the same exact thing I've been saying, but you're like, you are wrong, and then you say the same exact thing I've said. Like that's
no. But like,
you're
what I'm
like
getting at
me for having the same exact position as you.
We have the same position, but we came to them from like very different like places. I was like, okay, he said he's basically a sex trafficker. You're like, well, he didn't actually say it. It was just joking, but like it's the same thing in court. That's what I was getting at.
But he didn't say that he's a sex trafficker. He has not ever said those words.
Oh my! But you know the words that I'm talking. Like he has described his actions and scenarios and the way that he moves in such a way that paints him as a sex trafficker, and is basically saying I am sex trafficking without saying the words I am a sex trafficker. And in court, he's kind of fucked.
Well, just because someone's fucked in court doesn't necessarily mean they're guilty per se. I think we have to look at the evidence that comes out. But yeah, I do agree that he has definitely like fucking made it really, really hard for his lawyers to defend him with some of his rhetoric. So yeah, like it is he has said some really fucking dumb things. They're gonna fuck him in the ass. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's guilty.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Same here. It doesn't mean he's guilty or innocent or anything like that. I'm just saying like, that last thing was all I was looking for.
So then you agree with me?
Yeah, that last thing was all I was looking for. It seemed like you were playing. You seemed like you were kind of like ignoring or being like obtuse to how bad this sounds and looks for him. You're kind of just like, well, he's joking. He's like he's a comedian.
No,
or something like that.
I think he's fucked. Yeah, I don't think he's getting out jail anytime soon.
All right, cool. Later.
All right, there we
go.
go.
Was very, very interesting. I was just like, yeah, it's like one of those fucking like.
G2 is like going so hard in the chat, but he literally has the same position as me. Well, we don't know if he's guilty or not. Thank you. It's literally my position, like from the start.
Jesus Christ, that's cute.
I don't know if I've ever been strawman as much as I was like strawman tonight. All right, let's bring on this person. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Alex? Haven't seen you in a while.
What's going on, dude?
Doing all right. Yeah, I feel you guys on the same situation. Because we know that there's no, I mean, with the political system, how it is, you can't be guilty without any evidence. And as we could have been talking about, we don't really know any specific evidence other than, the things you guys were talking about earlier. But when you guys were talking about the passwords and stuff earlier, I hate to bring that up because you've been talking about it for fucking ever.
Talk about the passports a little more.
But I feel like something that I think no one was talking about, because maybe I didn't see any of this information, but if these girls that I'm assuming were the cam girls and whatever, and they had their he had their passports. If he, because I'm going to use an example with me, because if I was with my girl and and she was like, hey, could you hold onto this for me? Yeah. And I was like, oh, let me hold on to this for you. And then it's more of I feel like it's more of a trust thing. Maybe these women had a trust in Tate to hold on to these things. Maybe it's how it started. And then maybe after a while, maybe they felt a certain type of way over time. And then maybe that's why some of them wanted to leave, and maybe he did give them back. Some maybe they just were too afraid to leave, and so they stayed. And then now they're like, oh, I don't. He held on to my passport, so on and so forth.
That is certainly possible. But just to be clear, no woman has come forward yet, at least not publicly, and said, "Hey, he wouldn't give me my passport back. He forced the passport out of me." That's we're just solely going off what he has said in one video. We're not going off anything that women said. But yeah, like, dude, if like as the evidence comes out, there's a whole bunch of women who are saying, "Yo, I could not get my passport back. This guy was like, I wouldn't give my passport back." But yeah, I'm gonna be way more comfortable saying that this dude is guilty, rather than just based off literally one statement that he made, and now we're just interpreting a whole bunch.
Do we know if Romania is innocent into proven guilty type country, or is it guilty into proven innocent?
I mean, I'm sure every country is innocent.
No, not Colombia is not. Mexico, it's not.
Romania's like, I mean, I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think their punishments might be a little bit more harsher than like the US.
Yeah, it's I just looked it up. It's innocent until proven guilty.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
That's,
Well, that's like pretty much most countries is like, at least on paper, is innocent.
A lot of countries are guilty into proven innocent.
On paper, every country is innocent.
No, in Colombia, you're guilty into proven innocent.
Okay, I'm gonna fact check you on that. I think you're gonna be.
And Mexico too.
Mexico.
Yeah, even in Colombia, and according to the 1991 Colombian Constitution, every person is presumed innocent until proven guilty according to the law.
Mexico.
It's gonna
Mexico, Mexico. We gotta like check like every single country's like policies now, just to make sure like we know like all the.
Mexico, you actually read about Mexico. Mexico is considered guilty until proven innocent.
Oh wow!
I thought Colombian too.
No, not Colombia.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that, but
yeah, I feel like regardless, like Tate's not going to be getting out anytime soon. I don't think.
We agree on that. I don't really agree.
Maybe doing some time, but how much time is like up for debates? I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think that from what I've read about the prosecutor, he seems like someone who goes really hard. So I think the prosecutor is going to try really hard to put him away for a very long time. It really is just going to depend on the evidence, and like, I'm sure Andrew Tate is going to pay for like the best lawyer ever, but just come down to the evidence.
Alex, the lawyer also said that the defense still hasn't got all the evidence they had.
So do you think that
so the prosecution hasn't shared all the evidence that they have gathered with the defense, so defense cannot like build up a case, and this is being leaked to the media because they want to create like a bad image of his in media, and that's why these leaks are coming out.
Yeah, I mean, the case is in the very early stages. Like, this is going to take a very long time to play out. Like, they're gonna, like in America, I don't know about Romania. In America, the prosecution has to share the evidence with the defense, but they don't have to do it right away. They can do it later sometimes. So I don't know, but yeah, it might take a while for like that. And even once the defense gets the evidence, they're probably not going to go public with it right away. They're probably going to they're not going to want to like give up their like cards or whatever, without they're probably going to save like their best defense for the courtroom. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on what strategy they take.
That's true.
He's guilty, or do you think he's innocent?
You hear me?
Yeah.
So I just want to point something on what Nari was saying in terms of the passport, because you know that the mainstream media equals to metrics, and they've been attacking Andrew Tate since he becoming popular, give me 1 second, please, Nadi. And we don't know, like, actually, Andrew Tate taken their passport. These are just allegations. No, we shouldn't trust like New York Times. We shouldn't trust Washington Post. All these.
Hey, babe, let him finish, for God's sake.
I will give you time to talk. These are all mainstream media. Right now, if we type Andrew Tate, whatever we see about Andrew Tate is negative from Washington Post, New York Times, all these mainstream media. So those are the real metrics, you know? And we shouldn't believe them. As an educated person, we should have enough evidence to claim someone is guilty. We should have this IQ to understand. And nobody knows if Andrew Tate taken their passport. I think they were on their way to stay there. You know, the lady flew from Miami, the one that claimed that Andrew Tate abused him. She flew away from Miami to Andrew Tate's house, and then when her boyfriend saw her on Instagram, on her Instagram, then she claimed that Andrew Tate abused her. The question is why she flew from Miami all the way to the other side of the world to meet Andrew Tate and then claimed that she abused her. I think these are allegations after those girls either they've been later on regretted or they've been revealed by their boyfriends or siblings or whatever. So these are just allegations, and we shouldn't trust any of these ladies. Why did they claim 5 years ago? One of the cases that the lady was talking earlier, it was back in 2015. She went to the police. The police did investigation, and Andrew Tate wasn't claimed as guilty, and he's been free. But now they are coming back because I think they want money or they want fame, and these are just, I think, nonsense. And we shouldn't when a man is down, we shouldn't wish bad thing for him. So I think we should keep that in mind. Either we are ladies or we are guys, we should keep that in mind, that if somebody is down, we should wait for the justice authorities to investigate and find what is the reality. So that's my disagreement on that, Nadi. Just don't believe New York Times.
But that's the thing, though. That's the thing, that it wasn't the New York Times. It was him who said it himself. I take their passports. I'm basing on the words he said. So you trust him when he says that he takes the girls' passports? I never mentioned about any girl going from Miami to meeting him. I mentioned that he himself stated that he took the girls' passports, that he stole from them. So I should not believe him when he says that he takes their passports.
Natty, do you believe everything he says?
I don't believe it. I don't know. That's what
you believe the things that you want to believe.
I'm going from what he's saying. So my statement is he's saying that he takes these girls' passports, and to me that's concerning. I don't know if I believe everything he says or he doesn't. What I'm saying is that based on the things that he said himself, it's not something that Andrew Tate's follower, what he's saying is oh, you shouldn't believe what you read from the New York Times. I'm not saying that I got the information from the New York Times. I got the information from Andrew Tate himself.
But he has also said that the girls were allowed to leave whenever they wanted to.
What I'm saying is that he took their passports, and that makes me question a lot of things, because that's something that sex traffickers engage in. And Alex is well, some people don't do it. And I'm well, sex traffickers do it. And why is he being accused of sex trafficking? That's all I'm saying.
This is such a cringe argument. Sex traffickers are also men. So therefore, every man is guilty of sex trafficking.
Aren't they women who have been accused of sex trafficking?
Well, 99% of sex traffickers are
99%
guilty.
In
You're trying to use correlation as part. You're trying to use correlation as causation. Correlation. We understand your point that there's definitely a correlation there, but you're trying to you keep dancing around this. But like you just own the fact that you're trying to imply there's some
I'm
causation.
not owning the fact of anything because that's not my
Okay,
intention.
if your only argument is that there's a correlation between taking passports and sex trafficking, then every single person will agree with you, and there's nothing to discuss.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm calling shenanigans on that.
Okay, when I say like yes, that's all I'm saying. You're like I call shenanigans on that.
I think you're trying to imply that because of that, you're trying to imply that because of that he's probably guilty. That's
no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. And I've been saying that for the past hour or so. That's not what I'm saying. But going back to Andrew Tate's follower, his statement was like, "Oh, you shouldn't believe what you get from the New York Times, etc., etc." He said it himself.
Wow.
So aren't you guys saying that?
He has said a lot of different things. Are you going to believe everything he says? That's the
okay. So you have to pick one though. Alex Tate, you have to pick one. You have to pick one. So it cannot be when it's convenient to you, we don't believe it, and when it's inconvenient to you, we're gonna believe
it. There's no convenience.
But that is exactly what you are doing.
I really don't give a rat's ass.
Then let's be hyperbolic on everything, and let's say that he has no credibility whatsoever. But if we're gonna be like, oh, he said this, or you believe everything he says,
no.
Then my question goes back to you: do you believe everything he says, or you just believe what it's convenient to you?
I just believe some of the things he says.
I feel like
you're trying to imply
it doesn't have to be on the extreme end. It doesn't have to be.
I could care less. This dude is not in any way related to me. Like I don't like. You're trying to imply that there's some kind of bias, convenience for me.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I said that his name is actually Alex Tate.
Okay, well, I'm not sure who you were talking about, him or me. Okay, well,
I'm talking about him.
Okay, all right, cool.
See, you're so on the defense with me.
I'm just really not. Like, I don't know you realize, but you're actually being ultra defensive right now.
I'm not.
Like, no one's really attacking you.
My word. Weren't you the one who spoke for him when I was talking to Alex Tate? And didn't you interpret that it was towards you?
I mean, that's just how I read it. Huh?
Well, yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, I'm a massive. We got to the heart of it. I'm a massive simp for Andrew Tate. Secretly, I fantasize about him every night when we make love. I actually, when I make love to you, I imagine his bald head staring up at me.
I was talking to Alex.
I'm gonna just want to transform and morph into an Andrew Tate.
I was just going towards Alex Tate, who asked me.
Okay, well, let's let Alex Tate answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't believe that there's like extreme positions, like you have to believe everything he says or you have to not believe anything he says. But I find it like amusing that you only pick the things that you want to believe and you stick on it. And then whenever he says that there are girls who were allowed to leave and he would just like kick girls out, that's not what sex traffickers do. And also if he's a sex trafficker, he wouldn't be all over the internet doing podcasts and bragging about all of these things.
Didn't Pablo Escobar was all over the news and was a political figure, and wasn't he? And he was also a drug trafficker. Like you can do both. You can be a very public figure and engage in illicit things. Wasn't El Chapo?
Those are drug lords. Like everyone knows about them.
Also sex.
And they were also protected from their countries.
No. Wait. Don't you think they also engage in sex trafficking activities? Drug lords also engage in sex trafficking activities. Pablo Escobar also engaged in sex trafficker activities. El Chapo also engages in sex trafficking activities. Just because you're only doing drug lords activities and money laundering does not mean that that's all you do. They also engage in a lot of illicit activities.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the power as Pablo Escobar has. If he had all this power, then he wouldn't have been arrested.
That's not what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is if he was raping girls and if he was a sex trafficker, he wouldn't go on internet and be such a big public figure. He would do his operations on the side.
Well, that we don't actually know. That
You
like
realize how
that's
stupid some people can get and how big your ego can get. And case in point, when you said like if he had the power of Pablo Escobar was arrested many times.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I will kind of agree with Natty on this. I don't. With the fact that he was on the internet has nothing to do with whether he's guilty or not. It doesn't play a role.
Just because someone is on the internet and just because someone is public does not mean that they don't do things that are illegal.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
What's this guy that is Aspin? What's his name? How do you pronounce his name? He was a highly public, highly. I'm sorry?
Bernie Madoff?
No, that he just killed himself.
Oh, she's talking about Epstein.
Epstein, there you go.
Supposedly killed.
He was highly known and he was engaging in sex trafficking.
Supposedly. I'm just saying.
Sure, yeah. I don't know what Epstein has to do with Andrew Tate.
No, like that's what I'm trying to the point I'm trying to come across with Alex Tate. Not you, Alex, the other Alex.
It's confusing.
I don't think it's just me attacking you.
Excuse me, I don't want to like call of us attacking Neri, but let's not compare Andrew Tate with Epstein or with another drug lord, because those people, Epstein, he was like dealing with teenagers, and the other drug lord that you mentioned, he was forcing everything by guns or by other way of form. Let me talk. Give me 2 minutes.
Well, let him finish.
One at a time, please.
Let me talk. I'm not
You're
comparing.
so combative today. Just let the guy finish. Just let him finish. And then you guys talk.
And just because you're a public figure does not mean you're innocent.
Stop.
Yeah.
Let the guy finish. Let the guy finish.
Yeah. So Andrew Tate, he spread or he preached his skills through a pen and through his soft skills. He doesn't carry gun. He doesn't do anything in a violence way. All those ladies that they go to Andrew Tate, they are from those Western countries that the economy there is not that strong. They need money. They need a way of surviving. So that's why they go. And prostitution is legal in Europe. They do it whatever they want to do. But say it again, your question?
Is it legal in Romania?
It's legal in Romania. It's legal in Germany. I live in Germany 2 years and it's legal.
Can you double check, Alex?
Okay. Legal in Romania.
So Andrew Tate follower, what I was trying to bring, the point I was trying to come across.
It's illegal in Romania. It's not
Okay.
Illegal or legal?
Illegal.
So that's your first mistake there. And the point I was trying to make, I was not making a comparison saying that Andrew Tate and all these criminals are the same. What Alex Tate, not Alex from PWF before he...
I'm just going to rename him as Tate to make things easier. Go ahead.
A State fan was saying was that, if he was doing illegal things, he wouldn't be as public. And the point I was trying to make across was that there were a lot, and there's a lot of people who are public figures who engage in illegal activities. So one has nothing to do with the other. Just because you're famous does not mean...
Yeah, I agree with that.
Legal
I do agree with that.
That's why I was bringing up people like Pablo Escobar, like whatever you pronounce his name, I cannot... That's why I brought them up. Never did I say that they were the same.
All right, so I correct myself if
yeah, I think it's important for
the prostitution is illegal in Romania. I correct myself on that, but in general, in most European countries, it's legal. And
you said most European countries.
Let him finish. He's still talking.
What was your question?
I'm asking hardcore tonight. Go ahead.
What can I ask questions, Alex?
No, because he's trying to say something.
If you interrupt me, it's okay.
No one's interrupted you at all tonight.
You interrupted me many times.
No, I haven't.
And that's okay.
No one's interrupted you.
I ask questions just for the sake of the conversation.
Just let the guy, dude. Just let the guy just get a word in. Like
So in what percentage, Andrew Tate Valerie, what percentage of European countries is prostitution illegal? Legal.
I didn't do my research on that, but based on my experience, I know that it's legal in Germany, one of the strongest European country, and it's also legal in the neighboring European countries. In UK, it's legal, I believe. So if those ladies, beautiful ladies, they go and prostitute for like $20 or 20 euros or whatever, why they don't go and do that for Andrew Tate for a lot of money that they make? Most of those ladies that they work for Andrew Tate, based on what Andrew Tate says, they might be by now they are millionaires. So is this like questionable to you that why they're in Andrew Tate house? Because they make a lot of money. They came there by their own will. They can run away anytime that they want, but they want to stay there. Recently, there are a bunch of video released by Andrew Tate assistant Georgiana. You see them that those ladies, they're shaking their asses in Andrew Tate house, and that's in their own will, by their own will. So we cannot claim that, Andrew Tate forced them to stay there. No, I think they have 24/7 their cell phone with them. They could call the police at any time back in 2015, recently, but they want to stay there. They're just maybe since Andrew Tate didn't give them that attention, now they come and say, she raped us or she didn't respect us. But also one more thing I want to mention, recently, a bunch of beautiful ladies, like all tens, they came out and they say that Andrew Tate is a respectful man, and he is a good man. He didn't disrespect us. So we should also keep that in mind, not just pay attention to all those negatives and allegations. One is allegation, one is fact. So we should clear out what's allegation and what's fact. So.
Okay, first of all, how many countries are in Europe? Do you know? No, like that's important. It's important. It's important that you don't laugh at me, Alex, when I'm trying to make, because he's claiming that in most European countries, prostitution is legal. Actually, it's only in 9 countries out of 44 countries in Europe. So that's not most European countries. That's only 9 countries where prostitution is legal.
But what does that have to do with the whole argument?
That's what he's making. He's making the argument that in most European countries, prostitution is legal, and that a lot of these girls went there. So we're assuming that most of these girls are most of the girls who were part of his webcam business. Were they part of these European countries where it's legal?
But you're completely missing the whole argument.
I'm not missing the
Let's
whole
argue on the majors.
argument.
Not the minors.
He started with most of the European countries, prostitution is legal. I'm telling him that it's only in 9 out of 44 European countries. So that's not most. That's a minority. That's only 20%.
That's completely irrelevant to this whole argument.
But that's not our main discussion, right? That's not our main discussion.
What he was saying, like, maybe I'm crazy, maybe because I'm a woman, and maybe I don't understand.
Well, I don't know why you're like taking this like Andrew Tate thing so personally. Yeah.
No, I'm not taking it so personally, but what he was saying was that most of this in the European countries, prostitution was legal, or maybe this is what I understood, right?
Okay. That was a okay.
Alex, can you let me talk? Because you're not letting me talk. Like, you let everyone make their point, and you don't let me make my point.
Okay, because this is.
I don't find that fair.
Okay,
Can
well,
you let me make my point?
You can punish me later. The point is just that this is you can make your point right after I say this. This is a random statement that he made when he was beginning his argument that he was incorrect about, but it has nothing to do with actually.
No. He was making his statement that because like this is what I understood, and I want to make maybe.
I think he will acknowledge that he's wrong about that. He was incorrect about that. Let's get to the actual part of the argument.
Yeah, I correct myself. That was just a minor statement. I can correct that, but the main statement is.
What I understood was, please let me just let me speak, because I let you speak. You speak so I can
Go ahead.
so we can be on the same page.
Go,
So what
go,
I
go ahead,
understood,
Madam Secretary.
said that in most of European countries, prostitution is legal, and a lot of these girls go to Romania and work for him to make more money. Correct? Or I'm correct or incorrect?
That's the public information that you can find on Google. That because the economy in Romania is not good. Some women, they go and work in London, and also vice versa. Wherever they go to Germany, and I personally, I see in Germany, like there were girls from all over different European countries, from Greece, from Romania, from Turkey, from wherever. So that's a public information. So they can travel and they don't need visas. So that's a fact, and they can go and work anywhere they want. So
Andrew
you
Tate
should keep
Power.
that in mind.
My question was, what I understood what you were saying is the girls who work for Andrew Tate came from countries where that most countries in Europe where prostitution is legal. We already established that that's not truth, that that's a minority of countries, and that they came from these countries to work for him in order to make more money. That's what you were saying, yes or no?
That's correct. If I say most European countries, I might be wrong. I didn't do research. Based on my experience, I said that.
Okay. Do we know if these girls were from the 9 countries where prostitution is legal? Where were they from?
But that's not my main point. My main point is either Andrew Tate kept those ladies in his house by force, and I'm saying not, because they came there by their own will. Like the lady came from flew from Miami, maybe 100 girls. He is a high value man. He doesn't need to force anyone. He just can want anyone from any furthest village, like from USA, from Russia, from wherever he wants. He just flew the girl there, and that's it.
Okay, my question is, do you know where these girls were from? Where they
asked that question 3 times. He doesn't know where they're from.
So he doesn't know where they're from.
No, he doesn't know where these girls are from.
There's a chance that he brought these girls. They went there on their own terms through his loverboy methods that we established. So for some people, that's unethical, right? Do you think there's a chance that maybe when they wanted to leave, he would not let them leave?
Of course.
Because they have their passports?
I'm gone.
It was recorded on one of the videos. The lady, she called, her boyfriend called the police, the U.S. Embassy in Romania, and she was claiming that Andrew Tate kept her by force. But then the camera showed that, the recorded video showed that the lady came out of the Andrew Tate house and got a pizza and went inside by her own will. So these are just allegations.
Okay, so let me ask you the question again. Is it possible that I go to a house on my own will, right? Like, let's say I go to Alex's house on my own, and I go there because I do want to go there, right? And it's possible that Alex can kidnap me by saying, like, you cannot leave.
After this, it's probably pretty likely, but
he can do it, but Andrew Tate cannot do kept 100 or 10 girls. He can do one of them, but not all of them. It's not possible. Just one.
Okay, that I will actually disagree with you about, because they had a lot of security there, so it is possible that he could have kept all those women. I'm not saying that's what happened, but they had a lot of security with armed guards, so it is definitely possible.
And just because the point I want to make across is that just because you go to a house willingly does not mean that you can always leave when you want to go. People can still kidnap you even if you get there willingly.
I think
everyone. We are making all these assumptions only on his words. We don't really know if he held passports of each and every girl in the house. He just said in one clip. That's only one clip, and we don't have any evidence. We don't have anyone coming out saying that my passport was held.
That is true.
I don't know why we are running with this for over an hour now.
That is true. Like, that's all I've been saying has been that there's things that make me question, because that's something that sex traffickers engage in.
Don't do this like, come on, you're better than that. Don't do this all I was saying. Everyone knows that's not what you're trying to say. You're like fiercely petting a dog. You're like really invested in this argument. Like
I'm just trying
like, I think this dude is
the
guilty. That's fine if you think he's guilty. You're allowed to have that position. But
I
like,
don't have the position that he's guilty. We don't know for sure if he's guilty or not. All I'm saying is that he's done a lot of things that are very suspicious.
But no one is disagreeing with you on that. Certainly not me. But
a follower, for example, said that a lot of the girls got there in their own will, and that means that he did not kidnap them.
Well, I will honestly say that I think both of your positions are equally as cringe. No offense to anyone, but I think Andrew Tate's position is just like, it's just being extremely skeptical of all the evidence and just assuming that he's got to be innocent at all costs. And your position, even though you're not saying this, my interpretation is that you think this guy's guilty as fuck, and just assuming. So what? Stop. Yeah, let me finish. You're twisting everything in a negative way. He's twisting everything in a positive way. And neither one of you guys is really just like trying to weigh out both sides of the argument. You're just both like kind of like you're in one corner, you're in the other corner. And I really don't know, Natty, why. If your whole thing is that, well, we don't know if he's guilty, there's just some things that are sus, that there would be any disagreements between us, because that's literally my position from the start.
Exactly.
So then why are you so adamantly, passionately arguing with something that you agree with? Except for the fact that it's not your position.
You're the one who's putting negative intent in my words. All I'm saying is, okay, these are the things that to me are not clear and I'm very suspicious. And I'm just giving examples of the things that to me are very suspicious. And that I'm saying is, you know what? Like, people who engage in these type of activities do. I'm not saying that just because he has done it, it means that he's guilty. All I'm saying is that, you know what, like sex traffickers, that's the first thing that sex traffickers do. It's get the girls' passports. What? And I was asking you, like,
but there's no implication that he's guilty.
I'm sorry.
There's no implication that he's guilty.
There's really no implication that he's guilty. All I'm saying is that he engaged in a lot of activities that he stated himself that he engaged in, that are very similar to what sex traffickers engage in.
Sure.
That's
No.
what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, if I'm going to be charitable, I'll agree to that. But if I'm just trying to be realistic, that certainly did not seem like that's what you were saying.
I think that's your interpretation.
You were very passionately arguing against me for literally saying the same exact thing you're saying. That's been my position
I'm a very
from
passionate
the
person.
start. Is that was my position from the start? But I don't know. You seem to you're like, no, your position is wrong. My position is right, even though it's the same exact position. So if that's the position, then we're not actually disagreeing on anything.
No,
and we're arguing for the sake of arguing.
My position has always been like, I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if he's innocent. I don't have all the information that I need, and I'm not the judge of the case. What I'm saying is that he engaged in a lot of activities that sex traffickers engage in, and that to me, it's important to question these activities.
No one's disagreeing with that.
You're being more of like, oh well, like I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm asking questions that
no, that's literally what you're saying.
Your position in some things, but I'm not saying that. And you've been putting intent and assuming negative intent when there's really none.
Okay, chat. Does it seem like Natty was implying a lot more than that? And just be brutally honest, be objective. But to me personally, it definitely seemed like there was a pretty clear implication. And it feels like now you're kind of walking that back to an argument. So it's called the modern Bailey fallacies. When you make a strong claim and then when you're pushed on it, you walk it back. So yeah, the chat, every single person in the chat is saying, yes, that's how it felt like to them. So it's not just me that thinks that way.
I mean, if you're going by your feelings, but it's definitely not what I was saying.
I cannot prove, yes, you're right. I cannot prove your intent But I think a reasonable person will look at how passionately you're arguing against a position that is the same thing as yours and think, well, there's probably got to be some deeper disagreement. Like maybe she thinks the guy's guilty.
No, your position on the whole passport thing was like, oh, but we don't know. It could have been because I don't know, like you asked your girlfriend or et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's your position too, because you said you don't know either.
That way, I see it. That to me, it makes me wonder. Okay, why does he need this girl's passport? Whereas you are giving it more of like, I don't know how to.
No, we literally have the same exact position with what you're describing. It seems shady, but I don't have enough evidence to conclude that he's guilty. And you're telling me that's your position.
Exactly.
So why in the world would you spend an hour with me arguing about something that you legitimately agree with? If you think the dude is guilty, that's totally fine, and we can have a debate about that. But if your position is if your position is the fact that there's some shady things, but we don't have enough evidence to conclude he's guilty, then why are you fiercely debating me for an hour about something you agree with?
Because you love to go on and on in circles. My position has always been that I don't know for sure, but there are things that he has done where he has admitted himself. He has admitted himself of doing that are kind of shady, and that these are things that are very common of sexual traffickers to do. That's all I'm saying.
You said that 1,000 times, and I've told you 1,000 times that I agree with. I agree with every single one of those things.
Exactly.
So why did we debate for an hour about something we agree with?
To just give things flavor.
Alex,
I mean, you are something else today, babe.
David, was I entertaining people? Yes or no?
Alex, I just want to point out something.
You pissed off like half the chat, but
They're always pissed off at me.
Their lives, and then it's kind of
okay. I can steel man their position. Like the reason they're probably pissed off is because for like a guys, it's like a little bit of a sore point to be like accused of something that like they didn't necessarily do. It's something that a lot of guys can sympathize with, and it's just like really frustrating for guys when it feels like a woman is just willing to condemn them without like having all the facts.
And I think that it's also important to look at things from a perspective where if you're engaging in things that are very common and you're being accused of those things, it's very important to question things.
I'm fully willing to admit that there's a strong possibility the dude is guilty.
I'm questioning.
That has been my
position. Excuse me.
That has really been my position the whole time. That I'm fully willing to say there's a strong possibility that he could be guilty.
Excuse me, Alex and Neri.
I thought he was guilty. Can
I talk? Can I talk for 1 second?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I want to conclude my statements. So when a guy, Andrew Tate, he has changed maybe millions depressed guys and maybe unmotivated guys in the world. They made money. They've been making a lot of money. They've been improving mentally and physically, dating wise, woman skills, all kind of skills that you mentioned. He didn't scam anyone. The course that he has, it's like optional. You want to join for $50, you can afford it, you join. If you don't want it, just drop, just unsubscribe and go away. That's first thing about his course and his. The other thing I want to mention is when a man is down, we should just spread love and mention what he has done so far. We just don't bring the negative sides or the allegation that other people talk about him. Andrew Tate changed the world. We should just at least respect him and pray for him to get back to his. He has a mother. He has like family. Why should we want a man to be in jail? Jail is not a good place. My point is that if he has done something bad, the authorities are doing an investigation, and if they're gonna find something, he should pay the price. But until then, we should pay attention only to facts, not to Washington Post, New York Times, or Destiny, or somebody else. These are just feminine talks or a fat lady talk or whatever. We should think like with a high IQ, like a real man, a strong man. So all these things we should keep in mind before making any negative talk about Andrew Tate or.
I have one question to Andrew Tate follower. Do you will you acknowledge that there's definitely a chance that he's guilty as fuck?
He might be, but we don't know. As a person, I don't have all the data in front of me to make a judgment on him.
Okay,
I should wait.
I have the same exact position as you.
So Andrew Tate follower, when you're saying that, oh, he's done good things, so we shouldn't be so harsh on him. You know people who did good things too? Hitler.
Next.
Hitler.
How did I know you were going to go?
I don't know how we got from Tate to Hitler.
You know, like who,
there is
other people who did good things. Pablo Escobar. You know who other people who also did good things? El Chapo.
Natty.
We cannot compare that. Andrew Tate didn't kill anybody. Andrew Tate didn't kill anybody.
Things just because he does good things does not mean that he's also capable of doing bad things. That's the first point I want to make. A lot of people are capable of doing good things and bad things.
Yes, but we should.
And you're saying like, oh, we shouldn't judge him because he saved the life of many people. All of these people I've mentioned also said.
That's
not exactly what he's saying. He worded his shit in a weird way, but what he's saying is that we shouldn't jump to the conclusion that he's guilty until all the evidence comes out, which is essentially
true. Yes.
Okay, so the only point I want to make across is that you're saying, oh, we shouldn't go by what Destiny, the Washington Post, the New York Times are saying. I'm going by what Andrew Tate has said.
Okay, yeah, let me.
Not exactly. You're being disgenuine right now. You're not just going based off what he said. You're based on what he said. You're assuming a whole bunch of things.
Let me
So
put some
you
clarification.
are assuming. You're assuming stuff about based on the stuff he said. If Andrew Tate had said, "Hey guys, I am definitely a human trafficker," then you would be right. But he never said
When
that.
did I say that he was a Alex? Can you please pinpoint where I said he was a human
Own it. You think homies?
I feel like we're never gonna get off this point.
Let's own it. You think he's guilty as fuck? That's okay. An Andrew Tate follower thinks he's innocent as fuck.
Hey, let me guys to clear something.
You guys are both like fucking
Alex.
flip-flopping.
Let me clarify something. If public or Pablo Escobar or Hitler, they've been found guilty. Andrew Tate is not found guilty yet. He just been questioned by the authorities, and the investigation is underway. So we cannot compare him like Hitler. He didn't kill anyone. He is just being questioned by authorities. We don't have all the data about Andrew Tate to judge him, but we have all the data to judge Hitler or Pablo Escobar. So there is a big difference. So we should keep that in mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a big mistake.
I agree with that, but still, like, all I'm saying is I'm just going by your argument, your statement of, oh, he's done good things, hence we should not judge him by that. What I was saying is, like, bad people do good things all the time. And
I'm sure Mr. Andrew Tate follower will agree with that. You've made that point pretty clear. Yes, good people. Yes, whatever. Bad people do good things. Everyone knows that.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's like Hitler or Pablo Escobar. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you brought up Hitler and Pablo Escobar.
It's a very extreme comparison, though, bringing up like Hitler compared to Tate.
Super extreme.
Because we can argue that they did good things too.
Well, yeah.
What's one good thing Hitler did?
You guys are like Omega level.
He built the Autobahn. He did some good things.
Oh, okay, I like the roads. All
He
right.
saved the German economy. Before Hitler got into power, the German economy was tanked.
That is
Okay,
true.
Maddie's like stressed, like fucking brushing her dog.
No, I'm not.
All I'm trying to say, like going 1,000 miles.
Hitler
per hour.
maxing.
Trying to like keep my dog her hair well.
Yes, I'm sure she's fine since the last 20 minutes that you brushed her. All right, does anyone have anything else? I do want to wrap up and eat this wonderful dinner that Natty allegedly cooked.
We
for
can
me.
wrap up.
I feel like,
I
do want to say one more thing. I feel like I'm sorry. I do feel like that even if he is innocent, I feel like they will find any specific way to make him guilty. And I want to know if you guys feel the same way, because I feel like I don't know if he's guilty or innocent, but I feel like even if he was innocent, they will still try to find some way somehow to make him guilty.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Yeah, that's true.
I think that's I think that's equally as cringy as what Natty's saying without not saying. No, I don't believe in this. It's people. I don't know why people on Andrew Tate always go to the extremes. Either like it's a setup job, or he's like fucking guilty at all costs. No, I don't. I think that certainly there's a chance that there might be some some evidence faked. But I think generally speaking, if he's innocent, that the facts will come out, and if he's guilty, the facts will come out too. So
I agree with you, Mike. I think it happened the same story happened to Julian Assange. Like the same lady story came, a fake lady came and claimed that, oh, he raped me, and he's been in jail like for a very long time just based on the allegation. So I think the same story will be replicated for Andrew Tate.
Bro, they're not even close. Julian Assange literally made himself an enemy of the American security apparatus, and he's also not wanted really for rape. He's mainly wanted for what's it called, espionage or whatever the fuck they call it, or whatever the fucking crime is when you work for the government and you release information. I forget what the term is. So yeah, they're not similar at all. I mean, I think Julian Assange should have done that. Like I don't think the dude is guilty, but I can see how the U.S. government is looking at him and like, yo, this guy like revealed a whole bunch of things. Andrew Tate hasn't revealed anything. He's talking about like fucking masculinity, treason is the term. Yeah. So no, I don't think there's going to be like some kind of like a massive frame job. I think this literally is just this is just a classic case of a dude who has made a lot of fucking dumb statements publicly, and that's coming. It's no different than a rapper. Like there's a lot of rappers who fucking get into shit because they say dumb things in their songs, and then like they fucking catch a case because of that. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But no, I don't think if he's innocent, he's just like automatically going to be framed.
Yeah.
I want to add, I'm brushing my dog. I come like the evil guy in movies, just like brushing their dog and just petting them and doing evil things. That's how I'm coming across.
No, I just think you're like stress petting your dog. You're like,
oh, but like it's coming across like, have you guys seen those movies where like they're like just petting the cat or the dog and just like
The Godfather,
where they're planning bad things?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, any other closing thoughts?
Nope.
Lola, it's the
I just want to say, hey, Andrew Tate supporters, just support him with logic, with reason, and respect the guy until those authorities they finish their investigation. Until then, we should respect the guy and wish him the best to get out of jail. That's my
I wish they did the best.
Yeah, wrap up statement.
Yeah, I feel like
Thank
everyone
you,
should be thinking about everything logically. So, no emotions here.
I feel like very few people have been logical when it comes to the Andrew Tate thing. I feel like 89% of the response has been like highly emotional.
Yeah, everyone's been emotional with Andrew Tate. I feel like everyone needs to start being logical about these things. And
I don't know why Andrew Tate is like so like polarizing, where people like get so like I don't know, like emotional around Andrew Tate. I guess this just supports my point that I'm the only logical and reasonable person on the internet, which we have clear evidence of. Anyway.
I'll vote for Greg as the logical people in the most logical person on the internet.
Hey,
yeah, you definitely take the cake. What's all right. I guess that's
to go on Greg's stream tonight. We will after something.
You catch your nightly Greg Nightly, Alex, and nightly debates that go on.
Yeah, I come on there quite often. Natty won't be there; she'll be sleeping, so I can like make fun of her and shit. So.
I'll be there tonight.
Oh, shit.
And Lola will be there from Alex's bedroom.
No more Lola.
Alex coming tonight to the house.
All right, listen. Let's get back to what matters. Is my dinner ready?
No. So I'm gonna leave and cook now.
I'm gonna end this stream, and then it's gonna take me 15 minutes to drive over. So
I'm gonna start cooking now.
My dinner better be ready. It better be tasty.
It will be the first time I cook for Alex, you guys. So wish me luck.
I might show up with my Andrew Tate face mask, and
wish me luck.
Show you a little bit.
You got this.
All All right, guys, let's give Natty some love. She was a little difficult
I
today.
was a little passionate, but that's me.
That's
Like,
that's one way of putting it. But she did put herself in the lion's den, so as to speak, which is admirable. Something that most dudes aren't willing to do. If we're being honest, most dudes, the biggest shit talkers in the chat, aren't really willing to come on.
That's true. Big facts. Big facts.
Big facts. But yeah, appreciate you guys. And yeah, let's see what happens with this Andrew Tate thing.
We appreciate you, Alex, for getting us
thanks
on
for
here.
having me, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. I was like, looks forget gets mega.
Let's just focus on what's really matters in this very wise saying that Andrew Tate has, that women are property. He's onto something there. if your woman is making a sandwich, that she can't be on the internet arguing with you. So maybe he is.
Don't underestimate what you can put in someone's food when you're making food. Whoa.
My dinner better be delicious. All right, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Peace.